Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Okay, VSiN Live on a Tuesday. It's a great time of the year. We've got playoffs all over the place, NBA, NHL. Let's get you caught up, and then we'll open up the show properly. First off, hope you're having a nice day. We're going to have some fun over the next 3 hours. Dustin Swedelson, Las Vegas. I'm Patrick Meagher, live from Los Angeles, where we're going to have a meetup, people. Shout out to Mike and the OC and the crew. It's become clear at my extended age, I must embrace being social. And May 31st, I am going to be social. So if you're coming to, and I'm talking to you, Babchick, and I'm talking to everybody, because I'm all in. If you're coming to Hermosa Beach as part of the Mad Dog Sports Radio, I will be there with bells on. All right? Therapist says I got to be social. I'm leaning into it at 47. Screw that. Let's dive in. Naya Hardman, New York City. Ryan Smith, Las Vegas. Of course, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. But the bottom line is this. We've got tonight potentially Giannis's last game as a Buck. Now, Milwaukee started this game well against Indianapolis in Indy. Again, Indy leads this series 3-1. It's Giannis doing it against everyone. Of course, you had the ACL with Dustin, help me out. With
Achilles, Lillard.
Yeah, Achilles with Dame Lillard. So he's going to be done for a year. Couple things here. One, Giannis brought them a championship. My assumption is he's going to move on after this year. They are in hell. The Milwaukee Bucks have nothing. They don't have picks. They don't have anything. They don't have space. They got Giannis is 30. My assumption is they're going to look at him and say, what do you want to do? He's going to look back and move on. We're going to talk about his next team coming up in just a little bit. Outside of that, tonight, you've got my Pistons against the big guys Knicks. Look, this series should be 2-2, which would make this game 5 much more exciting. It's not, but I will say this, with the Pistons at the Knicks up 3-1 in the series. New York's a 5.5-point favorite tonight. The Pistons have a very free FU vibe going into this game. Like there is no expectations. It's almost like the St. Louis Blues in hockey. The Blues came back home down 0-2 against Winnipeg, who's the best team in the league, and said, it doesn't matter. They scored like 7 goals in a game. They're like, we don't care. Nobody expects anything of us. That's the Pistons. The Pistons won a game last year. Now all of a sudden they're going to MSG. Young team, don't care. I like the points with the Pistons. We can discuss that in just a bit. The Magic are at the Celtics. The Celtics lead that series 3-1. Drew Holiday is out. Doesn't matter. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Doesn't matter. The number is 11.5. I mean, look, we do have a polarity. We have a polarity with games. We just had the most lopsided series in the history of the league finish up last night down in Miami with Cleveland boat racing the Heat. But you know what? We have to be fair to the NBA because we've had some pretty good games. Like last night, obviously, you had Steph and the Warriors 109-106 over the Rockets, take a commanding 3-1 lead, and then the sweep by the Cavs. I'll set up the hockey. We'll get the big guy in the mix and get going. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Senators, Maple Leafs tonight. Toronto's a big favorite, $1.75. Maple Leafs lead 3-1, should close it out. Devils, Hurricanes in Carolina. That is aesthetically the worst series of all time. The Hurricanes lead 3-1. They're a $3 favorite tonight hosting New Jersey. They should close them out. Then we've got 2 crackers later on tonight. You've got the Wild at the Golden Knights tied up at 2s. The Minnesota Wild have been exceptional in this series. Golden Knights are better, but the Wild have been great, and they're pushing the Golden Knights, who were huge favorites, and they're 235 favorites tonight hosting the Wild. The Oilers and Kings, this is fascinating. The Kings should be up 3-1. The Oilers on Sunday got a goal with 30 seconds to go. Goes to overtime. Draisaitl, boom, 2-2. That's how it flips. That's the bounce of the puck. Tonight here in Los Angeles, $1.25. You have to pay a price when you're betting on or against the Edmonton Oilers, because I mentioned Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. That number should be longer on the Kings. It's $1.25. We're getting a great price. We're going Kings. Let's go. Other than that, last night, NHL, the game of the night was supposed to be the Stars hosting the Avs. The Avs got the 3-2, and then boom, boom, 2 goals from the Stars. They separate 6-2. They take a 3-2 series lead headed back to Colorado. That's a great freaking series. If you are in Tampa Bay, and that's you, Tom Brady, and that's you, Hulk Hogan, and you're a fan of the Lightning, you are so effing bitter today. And Dustin, you know it because we were watching it. The Lightning outplayed the Panthers after going down 1 goal last night, outplayed them for 2.5 periods. Then all of a sudden, up 2-1, the Panthers score. 2 seconds later, they score again. A 4-2 winner, 3-1 series lead, cover the puck line. They erase the deficit with 2 late goals in 11 seconds. The Tampa Bay Lightning are bitter.
Yeah,
that's your setup.
Can't we also say the same thing about your Pistons, that the Detroit Pistons have completely outplayed the New York Knicks for the most part in that series, and they have very little to show for it? I know they got robbed last game, but if I'm thinking about long-term, like all the game action we've seen, I feel like Detroit's been the better team. It's just fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson and Cat have just figured things out for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to be fair to Karl Anthony Towns because he gets pummeled, whether it's because he uses weird accents, people think he's soft. When he went back to Detroit in games 3 and 4, he was freaking awesome. And Brunson is, I told you last night, he's just one of the great small guards of all time. He's going to be great in every single game.
Oh, I'll go a step further. He is one of the great clutch players we've seen in like 20 years. I can't think of like another player that's as random as Brunson. I know he's a star, but you don't think of him in that upper echelon with some of the other like physical specimens that dominate the NBA regularly, the Durants, the Giannis's, the LeBrons. But for Jalen Brunson to be a guy that you trust this much in crunch time, it's kind of insane.
Not as insane as the fact that the Dallas Mavericks had Jalen Brunson, had Luka Doncic, and now they have neither. So that would be even more insane than what you just said, but I agree with you. They just said, no, we don't need him. And the Knicks said, we just got one of the great franchise players of all time.
Yeah, but they have a 30-something-year-old Anthony Davis who's hurt all the time. They're happy with that. Remember, defense wins championships. Nico said it. Defense wins championships. Jalen Brunson and Luka don't help your defense, so it's not part of their long-term plan.
Yeah, Pistons, Knicks. If the number's still 5.5, maybe you can check on the updated number. It is still 5.5. I think it's a very good possibility the Pistons win tonight. And by the way, I think there's a good possibility the Knicks go back to Detroit and wrap up the series. That's where I'm at with this series. I don't think the Pistons have any pressure. I think the Knicks are under a ton of pressure tonight.
Oh, I completely agree. From a situational spot, to get robbed the way they did with the refs and the call, you figure they're going to get a bit of a better whistle in this game because the league tends to make things up. That is a big number for a team that going into the fourth quarter has consistently had the lead over the Knicks, where the Knicks, I have the stats here. Game 1, they were down 91-83 at the start of the fourth, 21-0 run, they win. Down 75-67, lost game 2. Game 3, start of the fourth, down by 10. The Knicks hung on to win by 2. Game 4, Knicks were down by 11 with 8.5 to go and won by 1. The Pistons have had the lead late in all of these games. They just need to finish the job, and part of that is our boy Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham's got to stop turning the ball over in crunch time. 24 turnovers in the series. That has been the Achilles heel for the Pistons, just giving away a few possessions here and there.
Well, he's expected to do so much, and regardless of how bad you think the Knicks stink, they have great perimeter defense. OG's a great defender. Mm-hmm. He's been hassling them. They do have good defense on the perimeter. I agree with you. Cade hasn't been exceptional, but then you look at his numbers, you're like, he's keeping them in everything.
That's the thing is, I think the usage is so crazy. The turnovers are bound to happen, but you think about how close these games are. They're coming down to 1 or 2 possessions late. If he just limits 1 or 2 turnovers, that's a couple points here and there. They don't have to worry about being down or facing a Knicks team that's making a big comeback. That's all I'm saying, because they're just super inconsistent for Detroit. Game 1, Tobias Harris went off in the first half. Last game, Tim Hardaway Jr. was out of his freaking mind. You kind of never know which Malik Beasley you're going to get. Because of that, it's so much is on Cade. Therefore, any mistakes just get magnified at this point.
The Magic Celtics, the Magic actually play the Celtics pretty well.
They do.
Is that number still sitting 11.5? I think that's a bit too much with Holiday out. I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to play unless we've seen an update. I know generally just hammer it and lay it with the Celtics, but the Magic have been pesky in this series.
Yeah, it's 11.5 still. I'd actually think about the Magic first half because it feels like they've played them really close. They had a lead in game one. There was another game where they were close out of the gates. First half, number 7. You can get +7 on Orlando, where we've seen Boston kind of wait out these games against lesser opponents where they play with their food and then they go, all right, it's the fourth quarter. We're down 11. Let's just turn it on and figure it out. With them not needing to stress, you can kind of see Boston coming into this one with a bit of a lackadaisical attitude. So I think about Orlando +7 in the first half.
And I neglected to mention the best game of the night in the NBA, and that would be the Clippers headed back to Denver. So what do we have here? The Clippers are favored tonight. The Clippers are favored in the series big time. The market is telling you they don't believe in the Denver Nuggets. That's really what it comes down to. Let me just recap this really quickly. The Clippers probably bitter. They didn't win game one. Denver pulls it out. Jokic is the best player on the planet. It's not even a question. The Clippers then came back and won a tight one in game two. The Clippers blew out coming back here to Los Angeles, blew out the Nuggets in game three, and then just an all-timer with Jokic and Gordon and the dunk and a 101-99 win when I didn't think they had any chance of winning game four. Now we go back tonight to Denver tied up at 2s.
Yeah, look, the unders cashed in all 4 games in the series. It's 9-2-1 the last 12 head-to-head meetings between the Clippers and Nuggets. You go back to last game, you mentioned the quote-unquote alley-oop dunk to win it. Nuggets were up 20 heading into the fourth quarter of that game and almost completely blew it. Jokic had 36, 21, and 8. But the problem is the mark. I know that doesn't compute. 36, 21, and 8.
Stupid.
But the market's telling you that it just doesn't believe this is sustainable for Jokic. Jokic is averaging 28.5, 13.5, and 10.5 in this series. Him and Murray lead all postseason performers in minutes played so far. And Denver looked really tired in the fourth quarter where they were almost blowing that fourth quarter lead. Remember, Russell Westbrook missed the game. Michael Porter Jr. is probable tonight. He has a shoulder injury, but he also is coming off a great performance. It's just a very shallow roster, and they've kind of been pushed to the max, whereas the Clippers have a bunch of different ways to beat you. And we saw LA, the first game of the series, go into Denver undeterred with the win. Harden was awesome. Kawhi was efficient. Norm Powell's emerged. And it's kind of crazy to say this because I just mentioned the numbers Jokic is putting up, but Zubac has been really good defensively against him. But if there was a worse defender against him, I guess Jokic would be averaging 40 points a game in the series.
Well, I think it's important to frame what Jokic is doing because now we're just taking him for granted. Yeah. He leads the series. On the other side with the Clippers, you've got Kawhi, an all-time great. You've got Harden. You've got Zubac. You've got a lot of good players. Jokic leads this series in points, rebounds, assists, steals. He is averaging 28.5. He's shooting 48% from three. He's averaging 13.5 boards, 10.8 assists, and 2.3 steals. This is a person that's in the matrix right now. He's on another level.
Yeah, and what he also does is he gives hope. Gives hope to people like me that can't jump high, that can't run fast, that you can just become an all-time great at a sport if you just develop the skill set. Now, you also have to be 7 feet tall. That's part of the problem here. But when you watch him play, you've never seen anyone who moves as slow as he does completely dictate every aspect of the game. He dictates the pace. He dictates the scoring. He controls every avenue with his passing because he's not a good passer. He may be the best passer in the league at the 5 position.
Yeah, the problem with people saying that stat padding, he doesn't have anybody around him. No, we're not talking about stat padding people. If that were the case, he wouldn't be shooting such a high percentage when the only person the defense focuses on is him. He wouldn't be so clean with the assists, as you mentioned. Grabbing boards, that's about effort. Just check me with the stat padding. The guy's just an all-time great. So that is what's on tap for tonight. It's like I said, it's a great time of the year. And I did want to bring up a corollary or a theory, something that I've got going on, and it's a curse. And I'm going to admit it's a curse. And it has to do with White Lotus in the NHL. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Listen, I got a blind spot in life, and Dustin knows it better than anybody. I can't watch TV. I don't know. I can't. It's impossible. But the amount of people in my life that come to me day after day trying to convince me to grind out White Lotus is really, it's on Ozark level. It's on the goofy Apple show with Sudeikis level that you told me about. There are certain shows that people just want you to grind. And White Lotus is the new it show. And let me just say this. I don't know what it is. When I start watching a TV show, I start and then I just can't focus on it. I know it's fake. I get bored. I go to a Lincoln documentary. I'm not saying it's good. I've watched all the documentaries over and over. I've seen World War II a million times. I know about Churchill inside and out. I'm not saying I'm erudite. I'm not saying I'm too smart. I'm saying I wish I could do it. Okay? But I'm going to do the White Lotus trick that people are doing to me, to you with the NHL. I generally don't get into the NHL until the postseason. Ever since I moved away from Hockeytown, a la Detroit, it's really been just about the postseason. But I'm going to tell you, and I was thinking about it last night when I was watching the Avs and Stars, and I watched hockey all weekend. The NHL in the postseason is pure theater. It is theater. When you have the Heat not even showing up to the arena last night in the NBA, you're just never going to see anything like it in the NHL. And for a person that's having a hard time focusing, it's not even a sport I need to bet on. I can genuinely turn on a playoff hockey game and get completely involved. Now, is that going to do anything for you? Probably not. I'm not going to convince you. I get annoyed when people try to convince me. I got a White Lotus problem. A lot of you have an NHL problem because why you're not watching it is beyond me. It's beyond me.
Okay. First of all, the White Lotus hype is preposterous. You know me. I'll come on here pitching any TV show to you. That show is so overrated.
Yeah, but that's what you do. If people like something, you'll say, I hate it.
No, I love Ted Lasso and I love Ozark, the two shows you mentioned. It's not on that level. The problem with White Lotus is you hate the entire season up until the finale, and then you go, oh, okay, I think they kind of work some stuff out. It stinks. The show stinks. I didn't watch
the show stinks, season. But you watched the whole entire thing?
The first two, I didn't watch this past season. I'm out. Okay. I'm out. You know what it takes to get me to not watch a TV show in my life? I watch every TV show. Secondly, what I'd say about the NHL is you kind of brought up the perfect example of why the NHL is not popular anymore. And it's why a lot of these other sports don't put up the numbers they used to. We have the option of watching any TV show any time of day. Also, we have the option of watching the Lincoln documentary any time of day, even if we watched it already. And there is something about live TV, and there's something about the unscripted nature of live sports, right? You're saying you don't like White Lotus because I know you. I know your problem. While you're watching it, you're going, I know the formula to this TV show. They're going to make me think this. They're going to show me this. It's an okie doke. Then this is going to happen. This is the big shocker mid-season. And then at the end, they're going to go, boom, we got you. And you're going to know what happened the entire time. That's why you can't suspend your belief to get into a fake TV show, because you know that they have an algorithm that they punch it into what's going to shock people, what's going to titillate, what's going to make them stay hooked for 8 to 10 episodes, and then how do we get them back in the final episode for next season? It's all planned out ahead of time. You can't plan out live sports. You can't plan out the drama. And the thing about hockey, and it's one of the few sports in the playoffs where the energy is palpable through the TV, where I feel it in my sphincter. Everything is tight the entire game, watching it because it's nonstop action. Every shot towards the net, you're kind of up on your seat going, is it going to squeak by? And then you see things like Hellebuck, a great goalie in the regular season, getting the yips. You see Montreal have to turn to a backup goalie and get a win mid-game and then get smoked in the next one. I mean, the energy, the drama, I think that the NHL offers all of that. The problem is too many donks are sitting around watching White Lotus instead of wanting to watch something happening right now in real life.
That was a good breakdown. I also believe, my dad used to say this, and I'm guessing you all agree, turn an NBA game on in the fourth quarter, you're fine. I assure you. You'll see everything you need to see. The difference with hockey is the margins are so slim that from puck drop to the end of the game, every little bounce of the puck, every check. And another thing about hockey, watching this, and it reminded me of growing up watching the Red Wings, you start to palpably feel the hatred that the two teams have for each other as the series progresses because they're beating the S out of one another. It's like Montreal and Washington were literally doing backflips into the bench and punching each other in the head. Now, if you want to go and complain about the violence of the sport, I'm fine with it. I'm just telling you it exists. And when that type of intensity exists, you start to go along for the ride of a series with increased hatred.
And how about what's on the line? Like, think about when you watch the Stanley Cup presentation every year and what it means to the players. That's why they're as fired up as they are. That trophy means something. Rob Manfred called the Baseball World Series trophy a hunk of metal. I don't know who Larry O'Brien is. I just know the trophy after him. Everyone knows Lord Stanley's Cup. Everyone knows it. It is the best ceremony in sports to watch them line up and shake hands. The winning team gets to drink out of the cup. The cup means something. And you see it with all these teams. And I think the hockey playoffs also offer something else. And it's a team that you didn't expect. For example, the Miami Heat last night. The Miami Heat, if it was the NHL, if their goalie got hot, they could go on a freaking heater and go all the way to the finals. That's not happening in the NBA for the most part. In hockey, it happens a lot. And that's what hockey offers that the NBA doesn't.
I wonder if 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. I wonder if there is a switch flipped for some of you when it comes to, I don't really focus on the regular season. I focus on the standings in the NHL, and then I'm all in. I can't think of a sport. Can you think of a sport, 888-623-3646, where that kind of has the impact on you? Maybe it's the Kentucky Derby. Maybe it's horse racing where you get completely involved in 1 or 2 or 3 races a year.
There's one that jumps out, and that's college basketball. Most people don't pay attention.
That's a good one.
And then they get really fired up, and they think that they're college basketball experts for a month out of the year. Hockey's kind of similar. It's the same thing. You're not really checking in.
It's a good one. So that is my White Lotus NHL corollary. That's all I can say. I don't know. I'm not going to convince you to watch the NHL. Don't convince me to watch White Lotus. Just stay in our own lanes. That's number one.
You should watch Ted Lasso.
Okay, I will tonight. Number 2, you mentioned the live theater, and the Rockets Warriors has turned into much more than a basketball series. Dylan Brooks is the most annoying person on the planet. Hold my beer, Draymond Green is. I want to love Draymond Green. I do. He's from Saginaw. I got a cousin that lives in Saginaw. Sag Nasty, what up? Draymond Green, Michigan State. He barely avoided ejection last night, and then he had a great defensive stop to end the game. So there's the confusion and the two sides of Draymond Green. But let me just say this. I don't know who the donk was on the court. Draymond Green leads the world in when somebody's down, he's going to kick you in the face, kick you in the head, and try to really try to gravely hurt you while acting like he's flopping. And the fact that he gets away with it, it was astonishing to me last night. He does it incessantly. He's done it his whole entire career. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch last night. You can tell me who the donk was on the court for the Rockets. He does a thing where he starts flipping and flailing, but he knows it. He's a very smart guy, and he knows exactly where the person's head is, and he constantly kicks or punches people in the head. That's Draymond Green.
It was Tari Eason. And I think this is what's so frustrating about Draymond Green, because if you subtract all the nonsense that makes up Draymond, that has become the narrative on him, if you take away all that nonsense, he is one of the most enjoyable, like old school basketball players where he's a great passer, he's unselfish on the floor, great defender, great rebounder, can defend 1 to 5. Like he's a glue guy that you need. And then he adds all that other stuff. And it's unfortunate you got to take the good with the bad with him, but the bad is just so insane and out of line. And then he acts like a victim. He acts like he did nothing.
Yeah. He must be fun to be married to. The victimization that he goes through with his theatrics. Look, like you said, great defender, a terrible offensive player. He's a fine passer.
He used to be good on offense. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he used to, but he's not anymore. Butler, he's got the yips perpetually. Butler was great in the game, played 39 minutes, 27 points. That was the difference, and they take a 3-1 series lead. So we start there. Milwaukee, Indianapolis, the Pacers have made a crazy comeback. They were down like 20 early in this, and now they're starting to come back. So we can have that conversation about Giannis as it looks like. I think the Pacers are going to take over. 9 minutes to go in the third. They lead 52-51 and lead 3-1 in the series. 888-623-3646. When we come back, I want to hold off a little bit on the Giannis question because let's wait for this game to wrap and we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. But there are questions about where Giannis is going to be playing next year. Again, my corollary is White Lotus to the NHL. And then we ask the question, as I get so involved and engrossed in the NHL as soon as the postseason start, what is that sport for you? It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
By the way, the Belichick stuff with his girlfriend, I told you a couple weeks ago, I was out in front of it. I'm now going to let it marinate for a little bit because what's happening with Billy B at 73 years old and his 24-year-old girlfriend, is about to get weird. And when I say weird, I mean explosively odd. Like, he's doing a CBS interview, and she's interjecting when he's asked about football. That's the best. Give me more of it. You want reality? We're about to get it, people. Because Billy B, he is so lost, he can't even figure out his asshole from his elbow right now. And if you think North Carolina is going to be a good football team, you've lost your freaking mind. Because he doesn't have anything, and he's being led around on a leash. But before you jump in, VSiN is on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. As an exclusive offer for SiriusXM listeners, you can get full VSiN Pro access for just $19. Now, that goes through August 1st. You're going to get everything. A daily email, all the best bets, the big guys in there, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa Sports. Plus, we've got our Kentucky Derby betting guide. Remember, that's on Saturday, and the NFL betting guide as well. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. You have to use the promo code SIRIUS. You get everything we offer until August 1st. All right. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Giannis, potentially in his last game as a Buck. He's up 1, 7:46 to play, 53-52. Let's open up these calls. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Maher, Nia Hardman, Ryan Smith. The whole crew is here. So we started with, listen, the NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. Got to be fair to the NBA. Some of these series have been pretty awesome. The NHL has just been electric for me. And it's a sport that I get into as soon as the postseason starts. And I'm not going to convince you like my family's convincing me to watch White Lotus. I'm just saying. Let's start off tonight in Vancouver. Shout out to Canada and say hi to Reggie. Hi, Reggie.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Reggie. What's up?
Not much. What sports do you guys play?
I don't play anything. I'm a 47-year-old weight-burnt man.
Oh, really? Okay, so I'm a Canadian, obviously, but I grew up playing baseball and football. But I've always said, I want to touch on Draymond too, but I've always said, like, if you were to take someone who's not a sports fan of any sport and put them in the heart of the playoffs in all sports, a non-sports fan, like hockey is just the most energizing, dynamic game there is, period, right?
If you go to a game in person, if you go to an NHL game in person postseason, you will always be a fan. You'll be the biggest fan of the sport ever.
Amazing. So I actually was just down in L.A., but I caught the shittiest game. I went to the one where the L.A. just, completely dominated them. But back to Draymond, and the reason why I love the NHL is because when you got a dipshit like Draymond on the court being cheap like that, you could punch him in the face because that's how you straighten a bipolar guy like that out, right? You just
I don't know about his medical condition. I understand, but whatever. I like when people ask, "What sports do you play?" None. I'm 47, so let's chill.
Yeah, if I was also capable,
I feel like you were about to answer it earnestly. Like,
well, no. If I was still capable of playing sports, I wouldn't be talking into a microphone right now. I don't know.
Wait, you're saying you would have been a pro?
Oh, I would have been a pro. If I was 4 inches taller, none of you would ever know me.
At 40, you would still be playing. You're LeBron.
Yeah, I'd be like LeBron.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true.
Born the same year.
Yep. John in Cincinnati joins us, VSiN Live. Hi, John.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? Seems there's a lot of excess weed in Vancouver tonight, but listen, I love playoff hockey like none other. And I know nothing of that sport. I only watch in the postseason. The NBA finals, or getting to the finals, rather, I find to be a little bit vanilla. It's just kind of, it's exciting for the last, maybe the last 2 minutes are exciting. Versus, as one of you guys pointed out, the margins in hockey, like every minute counts, every period counts. It all adds up, and it's super important, and I just love it. And I couldn't tell you one guy on any team, and I just love it.
Yeah, you're in Cincinnati. Last time I checked, you probably don't have an NHL team. You know what I have noticed, too? It's not about – that's interesting. When he was just speaking, I thought, I love watching Golden State. I love Steph. I'm not watching the Dallas Stars for a player. You see what I'm saying? It's also very different with now how we consume the NBA. It's like the amount of Lakers fans, because Luka is a Laker – that's not the same in the NHL. I'm just involved in the Stars versus the Avs.
Yeah, that, you know what? That's a good point. That is one aspect that makes it really unique because right NFL also. You don't have to be your team doesn't have to make the playoffs for you to care about the NFL playoffs. Everyone cares. And I think it's a thing baseball struggles with is nobody cares no matter who's involved in the postseason there. But hockey, the games are always going to be good, right? The thing that we've got into sports for, the actual sports, you always know you're going to get a quality product. So because of that, you can show up for NHL and know you're going to get something good.
By the way, you just sent this over. It looks like Jaylen Brown is available. I'm guessing that was baked into the number, still 11.5.
Yeah, it's still 11.5. By the way, that game is the defending world champion Boston Celtics are going to be on NBA TV tonight. Normally, the TV, the channel that we put like the worst games on. That's where the Celtics.
I'm telling you, and I can't. It's a historic franchise. It's them or the Lakers. This Celtic team, regardless of winning a championship last year, does not register nationally.
And by the way, we're underway. Team. We're underway. Pistons Knicks. On Brunson assists over, Cat over 37.5 PRA, but we are taking the Pistons plus 5.5.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go, Detroit. We just want more basketball in this series, and I do believe that they're going to play loose tonight. It's just underway, so zippy. Let's get back to your calls. We say hi to our buddy Jeff in Chicago. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's happening?
Nothing. So you were randomly just talking about Belichick, and like, I can only imagine, like, the day after the interview, Michael Lombardi step into my office.
No, because Lombardi wouldn't have been able to see. He's going to protect his friend. Let me just put it that way.
Well, it would have been a great episode on VSiN. I would have just loved to see that, or on your show. Fantastic.
That's funny.
And then his girlfriend just, like, stepping in every second.
No, Lombardi, I know Lombardi well. He would have protected Bill. Oh, Jordan's great.
Playoffs.
Okay.
Hockey playoffs are the best. But what are your thoughts on, tonight's games? I mean, you got a lot of new fans coming out there. What are your thoughts on, especially the Kings game tonight?
Yeah, I said, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. I just think the price is too light. Maybe you can give me an update on the number. I'm showing $125 on the Kings. Look, the Kings, game 4 was theirs. They literally got scored on with 30 seconds to go in Edmonton. By the time it got to overtime, you could feel the momentum in Edmonton's way, but the Kings were 30 seconds away from coming home with a 3-1 series lead. I think now, home ice, away ice in the NHL doesn't matter as much, but I like the Kings. I think the Kings are a better team.
Yeah, I'm seeing anywhere -122 to -130 if you want to lay it with the Kings. I mean, they're at home. They're not going to lose again at home. They stole 2 on the road. They need this one bad because coming back home up 2-0, you are sitting in a great position. Could you imagine having to go back to Edmonton and you're down 3-2?
Yeah, the Wild and Golden Knights tonight. Look, you can't do anything with Vegas because you're going to lay, I don't know, $240 to win $1.
Yeah.
So Vegas is going to be big-time favorites. I'll just say this. Minnesota's been awesome in the series. And they were plus-minus. They weren't a very good team in the regular season. They have been awesome. VGK is more talented, but Minnesota's been very good.
I want to, by the way, there's a game in 5 minutes. I want to go under on Devils Hurricanes. I won in the first 2 games, and then it didn't have a chance in game 3. I'm a little hesitant. Do you have a lean on Devils Canes?
That series I know nothing about, nor do I care, and I wouldn't watch a game, as Dog would say, if they put it on in my backyard. Carolina bores the hell out of me. New Jersey, a little bit of the same. You mentioned it's an under series. I'm out.
Yeah, I know. I just have it. It's one of those deals where this as a bettor. You have an angle, and it feels like it's working, and you just want to, use it until it wears out. And that's what I want to do with the unders. Real quick.
I mean, I guess I would do exactly what you said because you got to lay 275 on Carolina, which you're not going to do.
Real quick, Jeff was talking about Lombardi and Chapel Hill and Belichick. Dog was funny on this today. I suggest everyone go back and listen to it on the SiriusXM app. Dog was like, imagine you're Lombardi. Then he stopped and he goes, no, imagine you're Mrs. Lombardi. And Bill wants to go out to dinner as a couple. What are you talking about to her?
Look, I know nothing of this Jordan that Belichick is dating. And honestly, I don't even really judge it. Belichick's 73. Obviously, well, how do I say it? Obviously, he enjoys what she provides. Okay? And he is right now to pretend she is CC'd on every communication at Chapel Hill. If the athletic department, if the school gets a hold of Belichick, he has requested that she be CC'd on everything. She went to a CBS interview, sat off to the side, and interjected more than 10 times. You know what it is? It's a horrific look for men. Forget I've always thought Belichick was kind of fraudulent and super horny.
Sure.
There's stories. I'm not gonna. It's innuendo, alleged. This is just a bad look for men. Forget Belichick.
Well,
it does not make us look good.
No. He's totally first of all, you mentioned North Carolina football not being good. He's clearly not what he was in New England because Bill Belichick was locked in. The assumption was he had no personal life. He had no time outside of the office. He lived at the facility in Foxborough, and all he did was think about ball. Now he's thinking about a different type of ball, and you know how that works. But more importantly, I think she set something up that's going to go very poorly for her. She interrupted when the CBS interviewer asked him how they met. She said, "We're not going to go there." That's the one piece of info we already had. Now it leads us to believe that story is a lie, that they met on a plane where she had a book about philosophy in front of her and he made a comment about it and then they just became a couple. Now people are going to start to do some digging. For her sake, I hope there's no lies told in that.
Well, you think that's the interesting part? How about a 24-year-old person that has nothing to do with football interjecting when football questions are being asked of a 73-year-old man that's considered the greatest to do what he's ever done? That seems like an odd place to interject.
That's probably fair.
Like how we met, that's personal, but I think you may want to adhere to Bill when it comes to football. That would be my impression. Somebody that probably knows more about the sport than anybody. My guess is more than Jordan.
A little bit. Also, she's a child. Also add that in.
If you allow, and I'll be careful, it's a bad look for men. So is you being called big and stupid.
Yeah, but we knew that already.
We did know it already.
If it was breaking news,
I don't think you're not stupid. You're careless. Are you careless at times?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Pistons off to a 9-3 run to start.
Belichick's killing us. He is killing us.
You know what it is? It screams of lack of trust. Am I crazy in saying that? That he wants her to be in the loop of everything. That way there's no questions about anything going on in his life. Like it reminds me of like when a couple has a shared Facebook page. That is going down because trust was broken at some point. And now all messaging needs to be delivered to both at the same time. All
I know is women, because of Jordan, are having a Destiny's Child-like resurgence.
Honestly,
all the single ladies, like she is winning, regardless of what you think of her. And I'm not interested in judging either way. Regardless of what you think of her, this is a big-time movement for women.
No,
she answering football questions for the greatest coach of all time.
In 2025, she is a modern Susan B. Anthony.
She's on one. She's on one.
And my man's
sitting there. My man's sitting there baffled. Bad look for a man. Wake up. I know you literally have the personality of burnt toast. And I understand that people want to say you're charismatic behind closed doors.
Sure.
But you got to wake up. Like, when this is happening, you got to show something. I'm not saying put anybody in their place. That's not the type of person I am. But you are not doing well for men.
Not based on everything you were leading into this. He is being the opposite of the human being he was for 71 years on the planet, and now is letting a 24-year-old dictate every aspect of his life. It is wild.
But what do you think he was leading into it?
I thought he was a football-obsessed psychopath who all he did was think about that because we never heard about his personal life. So my assumption was he was so career-driven and so focused that once that went away, he took a step back and started realizing, oh, I can have a personal life here, but then also miss the game. And now he's trying to bring them both together while coaching an ACC school at a Power 4 program.
Many wise philosophers that said the same thing, from Socrates to Sartre to Schopenhauer to current day philosophers. It's a powerful drug. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623. What? We're going to pretend like that's not the answer.
Hey, here's what I tell you. I tell you his Patriots in 07 didn't go undefeated. What you're referencing there, lifetime on earth, undefeated.
It is. They say it's a powerful drug. Go check out the CBS interview. It's heroin. It's Molly. It's cocaine. Times 100. Wake up, Bill. You're doing badly for us. Do you have any self-respect? VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, the NBA playoffs are here, and you can hear every game on SiriusXM at 10 p.m. Eastern. The Clippers and Nuggets collide in Denver with the series tied at 2s. Don't miss a moment. Postseason action on Channel 86. And remember, you can find all the game times and channel numbers, SiriusXM.com/sports. We do welcome you back here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher, Nia Hardman, Ryan Smith. Along with us, we got the squad. The Pistons starting well. I told you, they're loose. They're having a good time. They're up 12-7, 6 minutes to play in the first. Elsewhere, maybe this won't be Giannis's last game, though. Here comes the Pacers again. The Bucks do lead 71-69, 2:10 to play in quarter 3. Where else? Oh, a big surprise in hockey, to be honest. I think they ended up closing the Carolina Panthers, Dustin, a $3 favorite. And the Devils, with 12:08 to play in the first period, up 2-0 on the Hurricanes. Kind of a shocker.
Okay, I don't know anything about hockey, but one fun angle I do like to do is when the team that was heavily favored goes down 2-0, lay a puck and a half with them at a huge plus money price. That might be an angle I think about. Although you said Carolina stinks, right? They're not good offensively.
What's the price you can just get on Carolina to win outright?
Plus 160.
I don't hate that. There's 12 minutes to play in the first. They're at home. That place is crazy.
I don't know much about hockey, but I do know this when it comes to the Devils. They don't have Jack Hughes, and he's their best player. They don't have a lot of offense to begin with. So I'm not sure they know how to play with a 2-goal lead on the road.
Samo is joining us. Mike Samich is joining us at the top of the hour, part of the family. He's got a bunch of hockey bets, a bunch of basketball bets coming up here in just a bit. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and play what you mentioned. Last night coming out of it, I believe we have Jimmy Butler talking about Dylan Brooks. All right, big guy, go ahead and set it up.
Yeah, they got into a little brouhaha. Jimmy had some choice words that the camera picked up, so he was asked about Dylan Brooks and his thoughts on him.
No, we're not having fun. You get me on record for this. I don't like Dylan Brooks, so we're never having fun. I'm a fierce competitor. He's a fierce competitor, but there ain't nothing fun about that.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks is not liked by many people. At one point, he went after Steph. The concept of riling Steph up is insane because he's so chill, and he got pissed.
Yeah, well, and then that's when Draymond first stepped in, right? It was first Brooks went after Steph, and immediately Draymond's like, back up, although Draymond's just looking for that opportunity the whole time. And
Draymond's like, he just wants to fight.
Can you admit this?
I don't have a problem. Like, let me be very clear. I don't have a problem with Draymond standing up for his teammates. You know what I have a problem with? Draymond intentionally wants to hurt people.
Yeah, no, he's kicking people in the nuts all the time. That's why he missed that.
In the head and swinging. How many times has he been suspended for pretending to be flailing but literally punching somebody in the head? And yesterday he did it with his legs.
Yeah, no, my biggest issue with Draymond is him doing that, and he's a bad actor. He's not good at pretending like things are happening to him, and he just happens to throw an elbow in someone's ear hole. You know what I mean? Like,
he is, but he is smart because it's nuanced. And how can you prove that he wasn't just flailing? No. You know what I'm saying? So he gets away with it, but if you have an ounce of common sense, you see what he's doing. He's trying to injure.
It's annoying as a Draymond guy. Like he's a player that I enjoy because he does a lot of little things well, and he sets up everyone around him. He probably doesn't get enough of credit for being a great facilitator as well, where he's run the point as a point forward for them a lot and gotten those guys good looks. He had a great pass to Jimmy Butler. But can you, as a Jimmy Butler hater, acknowledge how good he was last night? And he hit so many big shots down the stretch.
What's scary about the Warriors, though, forget Houston. Houston can't score. They're terrible. What's scary about the Warriors is they got a great game from Butler, and we're down late in that game.
I'm starting to realize all of my talk about them or Denver being a mismatch for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, no.
I may have been mistaken.
You're coming off it that soon?
No, the team I'm still riding was the Clippers. The Clippers are going to beat the hell out of the Thunder.
Okay.
Clippers in 6. Easy.
Now we have Steve Kerr. What's Kerr talking about here?
Steve Kerr just wanted to put into perspective what kind of player, none of the shenanigans, what type of player Draymond Green is.
He's the best defender I've ever seen in my life. And he rises to the occasion On top of being, a great defender, he's an incredible competitor. And so anytime, and we've seen it, I've seen it for 11 years, game on the line, Draymond making a stop. It's like having Steph Curry take the shot.
So it's an interesting comment from Kerr because maybe I'm making this part as far as dramatic up, but I'm pretty sure he and Draymond have gotten into fights. Maybe physical.
I mean, just think about it. Like
Steve Kerr and Draymond have a history, like anybody with Draymond.
Even if I don't have details, I would absolutely believe that 100% happened. Just think about any workplace environment. If your boss was a person like Steve Kerr, very hippie-ish, and you have an employee like Draymond Green, you have to imagine they fought multiple times over a lot of things that don't matter. But that statement to me speaks volumes. Just think about who Steve Kerr's been around. Played with Rodman, was in San Antonio with David Robinson, Tim Duncan. Pippen and Jordan were great defenders, and he's calling Draymond Green the best defender he's ever been around.
Right, but you're saying because of his liberal views that Kerr's kind of hippie-ish, but he's a red ass. He got in fights constantly throughout his career.
Oh, no, I buy all that, but my point was just he does feel like a player's coach that lets players have a voice, and with that, Draymond Green probably crosses that line, and they go at it. I believe all that.
Yeah, and then who was it that was ISO'd on Green? Green played great defense. Was it Şengün at the end of the game? They had an opportunity to win it down 1.
Green on Şengün at the end. And then something's happening to Jalen Green. Jalen Green stinks. He was their go-to scorer the entire season, and he has done absolutely nothing in this year. He had one game where he scored 30+, but over his last 7, these are his point outputs. 8, 9, 38, 7, 2, 7, 5.
No, I'd be buyer beware when they try to move Jalen Green. That is not a winning basketball player. No. Mike Somich joins us next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Hey, Nia Hardman with the bop. Just kidding, it's a bumper. As we welcome you back. Attention, Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners. If you're new to VSiN, you got to sign up for the daily newsletter. Daily newsletter is a good way. You just get the day started. Maybe get your little cup of coffee, a nice little dose of sunshine from Bill A.D. And when I think sunshine, that's my guy. You get picks from Samich, you get picks, you get free picks, you get Brent Musburger, and he's a great writer. It's VSiN.com/newsletter. It's completely free. You just put your email address in, and tomorrow morning, sunshine. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson, just kind of grinding to get out of the doghouse these days, but I think he's doing well. We are going to welcome in our guy, Mike Samich. You know, part of family. Samich got a lot going on right now. I mean, I can't even imagine his wife and daughter. I mean, this week, first off, you know him, VSiN host, Ready, Set, Bet on the weekends, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. But, of course, he and Aaron Halterman, RacingDudes.com, have VSiN at the Track, Road to the Kentucky Derby. Now, it's coming up this Friday, 2:15 Eastern to 3:15 Eastern, so 11:15 on the West, on VSiN's YouTube page. It's wildly popular. Make sure you check it out. Go subscribe, VSiN Live on YouTube. Then the big news, Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern time on VSiN and Mad Dog Sports Radio, you've got Mike Samich and Aaron Halterman in the driver's seat with the Kentucky Derby and other sports, but most of it's going to be on the Run for the Roses. Samo, what's cracking?
Oh, it's a busy week. It's Super Bowl week for us horse racing fans here. Kentucky Derby week, phenomenal field. We had the draw last Saturday. That shook things up a little bit. And you mentioned, Patrick, we're prepping for this Kentucky Derby show on Saturday. There's 7 possible game 7s that could happen on Saturday in the NBA and the NHL as well. So could be an absolutely epic day of sports with a Run for the Roses and all of these game 7s as well.
You could think about that, big guy. He and Halterman are going to be on from 4 to 8 East. They've got as the backdrop, overriding theme, the Kentucky Derby. But you also have the hockey and basketball all lining up to potentially be game 7s. If you don't get juiced up for that, big guy, you don't got no juice.
No, that's a great day. But the thing I get juiced up for are long shots. Everyone knows tequila shots, long shots, back shots, reverse order. Those are my favorite shots. I need to know long shots. Michael, I need long shots. I need someone we're eyeing right now that we think could be a potential upset sleeper on Saturday.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this race gets bet. Right now, your favorite's journalism, 3-1 on the morning line. We have about $200,000 already bet on the Kentucky Derby. Yes, you can already bet the Kentucky Derby through the pari-mutuel pool. Journalism actually floating up to 4-1. The horse that's getting absolutely hammered is a horse we've talked about who we expected to get hammered, Sandman, down to your second choice at 5-1 off a 6-1 morning line. He is taking a ton of money because of the social media connection and the Metallica connection. Right now, Sovereignty, who is 5-1 on the morning line, is floated all the way up to 13-1. If Sovereignty stays double digits, love that horse as a win bet because I think Sovereignty should be the second shortest price on the board. And right now, you're seeing him at 12, 13-1 range. Long shots for you, Dustin. I'll give you 2 of them. The number 10 Grande. Okay, this is a Mike Rapoli, Todd Pletcher horse who had the favorite 2 of the last 3 years, Fierceness last year, scratched out the year before with Forte. This is a lightly raced horse, ran in 2 maiden special weights, jumped up to Grade 1 company in the Wood Memorial, got a bad trip behind a slow pace, and was still able to close up into second behind Rodriguez. Grande, the 10 horse at 20-1, I think has a big chance. And I'm starting to come around on the number 14, Tiztastic, as well at 20-1. This horse won the Louisiana Derby last time out, was able to close from way out of it and be able to make a big run and win the race impressively, was able to weave through traffic and showed a ton of athleticism doing so. Kind of reminded me of Mage in the Derby when Mage had to kind of weave through and beat horses to holes. Tiztastic was able to do that last time out. And the reason I'm mentioning so many closers, this draw was absolutely horrible if you had any horse with pace. So the 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 20 all want to go. They want to get to the lead. And when you have inside and outside speed, it is a perfect storm for an incredibly fast pace because the horses who have to get out of the gate, they have to absolutely break perfectly and just go. Because if you're slow on the inside, you get crossed over. You're slow on the outside, you don't clear all 20 horses. So this just sets up to be a blistering early pace, which means advantage closers if you're looking for who you want to bet.
Yeah, if you're on the outside, you want to rate, right, Mike? Be like, Owen Almighty, 20. There is no way you can get the lead from the 20 post.
No, and yet his ownership group is like, he's better on the lead. We got to be forwardly placed. We got to get to the front. And you're sitting there in the 20 hole, and you're like, that's a terrible idea. But hey, go ahead. You can try. You want to be a closer if you're stuck all the way on the outside, right? I mean, the outside or the inside, it doesn't affect your race to just drop to the back of the pack and then make one big run. It is very hard to be forwardly placed from those posts because so much can go wrong and immediately take you out of your game.
What journalism are the connections of journalism thrilled with the 8-hole?
It's pretty much perfect storm for them. Like, this is everything. If one horse won the draw, it was the favorite journalism. The 8 post is arguably the most desired post of the entire 20. His style fits perfectly for this. He wants to sit mid-pack. Well, that's great for him because you've got 4 horses that want to go to your inside, and the other horses want to drop way out of it, which means that he doesn't really have to contest with anyone to go over and get the rail on the first turn. He should get a dream trip from that 8 post.
What is it about journalism that stands out that makes that horse the absolute favorite in this race?
He has run the fastest races we have seen in this entire prep stretch. And I'm talking 2 of them. His last 2 races beat anybody in this field. So if he can run back to either of those, he's very, very, very dangerous in this spot. And that's why, like, at 3-1, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to bet the favorite, want to talk or give out the favorite. If he's 4-1, 9-2, yeah, give me some journalism. That's a very, very good price on what is, I would almost say, inarguably coming into this race, the best horse. Now, if you want to knock journalism, he's only run against more than 4 other horses once in his career. So 5 career races, 4 of those 5 have been 5-horse fields. So he has never had to contest with 20 horses before. None of them have, but he's never even had to deal with like 8 consistently. He's dealing with 4 other horses, which means your trip generally going to be a lot better than what you'd see in 10-horse, 12-horse races. Obviously, 20 is a new thing for all of these horses, but it is the biggest question mark with journalism. How well can he deal with all of these other runners?
Yeah, journalism running out here on the West with those short-ass fields. Can we get some horses in the starting gate at Santa Anita? I mean, the place is legendary. Anywho, hey, before we get to and we'll get you caught up. Samich and Halterman are going to have you covered for Kentucky Derby Saturday, Game 7 Saturday. It's all going to be there. We'll let you know the information. We'll get to the hockey and basketball, but I did want to mention one thing. My sister wrote me last Friday and said, Patrick, are you watching Race for the Crown on Netflix? If you don't know, it's a documentary. It tails jockeys, trainers, owners, all the way up to the Kentucky Derby. And my sister wouldn't know a horse if a horse kicked her in the ass, but she's into the series. So what did I do, big guy? I reached out to Friendship, my friends, Mike Samich and Aaron Halterman. I said, hey, fellas, are you in to watch, Race for the Crown? You know what they both did? Blew me off.
Oh, but you know why? You know why, though? This is my assumption.
Elitist.
They are true horsemen. Therefore, they feel watching a series built for the masses like that is beneath them.
Well, I mean, I feel the shots fired here. First off, I don't think I actually didn't respond to you, Patrick, but I will check after the show. If I did, I'm
You
sorry.
said no.
Well, I responded. See, that's a response. Come on, man. You're saying I'm a bad friend. I responded to you. I said right away, no. Sure. And look, I will probably watch it at some point. But right now, like with everything else that is going on with the Kentucky Derby lead up, the playoffs, everything else, don't have a lot of extra time to tune into a Netflix show that's about horse racing, but about part of it that doesn't appeal as much to me because a lot of the Race for the Crown, which is a phenomenal way to try and get horse racing out there, I get it, is to follow storylines, talk about the jockeys, their trips to getting to this point, talk about some of the ownership groups and what they are doing. Doesn't really talk much about betting. And you know what I like about horse racing, Patrick? I like betting on horses. And so for me, it's a little different than necessarily what the style of show I would like to see from a horse racing perspective.
No, to be fair, I was joking around a little bit because it is made for my sister. When they make these documentaries, it's very surface. You're going to get Mike Rapoli. Yuck. You're going to get, they're going to try to sensationalize things. And with Mike and Aaron and even myself and Dustin as well, we kind of just know the inner workings of it all. So you're not really going to learn anything. So I get it.
It's like watching the wide receiver show, the quarterback show on Netflix. It's the same thing. If you actually like the sport, you're not learning too much new about the actual, game, sport, the players. Like, it's all stuff you already know. They're just formatting it in a different way. But curious, Mike, we're talking about watching television shows. Patrick's bothered because everyone is bugging him to watch White Lotus. Have you partaken in the HBO show White Lotus?
Okay, this is going to be a hot take. I watched one season. I didn't like it. So I was out. I don't really want to, like, there was no real storyline. You like, it's all about the character development and whether you like or dislike these characters. I couldn't stand half the people on the screen. I wanted them to stop talking. So I did not watch the second season.
Okay, I'm glad you said it, because I watched the second. The third's out now. I have not partaken. It's just everyone complains about the entire season until the final episode, and all the final episode does is hook you to come back for the next season. That's their whole goal. It's horrible television for 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, the reason you inspired me I came up with the White Lotus NHL corollary because we were very passionate about the NHL postseason on the phone, and I compared it to the people that are trying to convince me to watch White Lotus. I'm not going to do that with NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it's very similar. I don't know what people are. I can't believe people aren't watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't watch the NHL playoffs at this point. Like, it's one thing if you're like, well, I like basketball a little bit more. Like, watch one NHL playoff game and tell me you'd rather watch a full NBA playoff game. You can watch one quarter of the NBA playoffs and you understand exactly what's going to happen in the game. You don't have the momentum shifts like you do in the NHL. And if you look back at some of these games, and the Kings and the Oilers series, Game 5 tonight, I mean, if you look back at some of those games, it is multiple momentum shifts, right? It is one team comes out, takes care of business. Look at Game 4, right? The Kings come out, they go up 2-0. They have all the momentum. You get a power play goal in the response from Edmonton. They fight back. The Kings score, make it 3-1. You think the game's over. 15 straight minutes of Edmonton pushing and grinding and pushing. They get the tie game, send it to overtime, and Edmonton has all the momentum in overtime. However, if the Kings could have gotten out of that first overtime period, it would have been the Kings going back the other way. That all happens in one game, and you never had more than a 2-goal differential. It was never a 25-point game at any point, 20-point game. To me, you have to watch the fourth quarter of an NBA playoff game, and you're good. And 80% of the time, you don't even have to watch the fourth quarter because it's already out of reach by that point. With the NHL, if you don't tune in from the first puck drop to the end of the game, you are missing something.
Specifically this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. I want you to give me a grade, though, right? Because it's multiple series, and the complaint we have in the NBA is we have like 3 good series, and the rest stink, right? We had a couple sweeps, and there's 3 good ones, and that's it. If you were going to give me a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this year's opening round of the postseason?
The Western Conference is a 10 out of 10, no notes. The Western Conference is phenomenal. All 4 series tied at 2. All 4 compelling storylines, all 4 of them good, fast, up and down NHL play. The Eastern Conference is kind of like the JV. It's the East Coast or Eastern Conference of the NBA, right? We're like, hey, let's just get to the Celtics and the Cavs, right? I don't find the Hurricanes Devils very compelling. I think the Senators Leafs is interesting. I think the Capitals series is interesting, and then you've got a banger with the Lightning and with the Panthers. So let's just say 5 out of the 8 are very, very good television. We'll give it a solid 8 so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, you've got the Senators Maple Leafs in the second, 16 to go, tied up at 0. You've got the Devils Hurricanes about to end the first period. A shocker, though. Mike mentioned it, the Hurricanes with the backup in net. The Devils lead 3-0. That closes the Carolina Panthers, a $3 favorite. So that would obviously be a huge upset. Let's talk about one of the plays tonight. It's the late game. I can't wait for it. It's Edmonton and Los Angeles. I am shocked by this line move. $1.25 down to you can play $1.10 on the Kings. What is happening?
I don't know. I mean, people are looking at the lineups. They're seeing Draisaitl. They're seeing McDavid. They're seeing how the Kings or the Oilers were able to get downhill in that third period in the overtime. The Kings are a better team. They're just deeper. They're from line 1 to line 4. They're better. Yes, line 1. Yeah, you're right. The Oilers, Draisaitl, McDavid, they are better. Line 2, 3, and 4, the Kings have a huge advantage. On defense, the Kings have a huge advantage. In net, the Kings have a huge advantage. The games that we've seen the Oilers win, you've seen Draisaitl and McDavid absolutely stand on their head. And even in some of the close games that the Kings won, they were very good. This is hockey, though. It matters rolling 4 lines. It matters being able to play all these additional players. And by the way, home ice advantage makes a big difference as well in hockey because you get last change. So what does last change mean? Every single time there's a puck drop, the road team has to put out their forward line first. which means the home team can then match that forward line, which means every time that Connor McDavid goes out on the ice when they are in LA, guess what? Here's Anze Kopitar, ready to take you on as one of the best defensive forwards, defensive centers in the league. So it really helps teams out to be able to have that. On top of it, you got the juice from the crowd because the crowds are buzzing in every single NHL playoff game as well. Try and replicate that NBA. And it allows you to really have an additional edge on that team you're facing. I have fair at the Kings at like minus 145 in this game. I was on the Kings to start the series. I liked the Kings in game 1. I liked the Kings in game 2. I didn't bet them in game 3. I bet them back in game 4. Like, I don't see how we're getting to the numbers we're getting to. It feels like the Oilers are priced like last year's Oilers. And this just simply is not last year's Oilers team. They lost multiple pieces in the offseason. Their best defenseman's not there. They've had to make a change of goalie in the middle of the series because that's not nearly as firmed up as it was last year. I'll keep riding the Kings here. I think they win this series probably in 7, and they probably win both home games to do it, including tonight.
By the way, Senators on the board, up 1-0 in Toronto. Battle of Ontario could go on another game here. Senators on the road, up 1-0. What about the other game tonight, Mike? Minnesota. That's my best Minnesotan accent. At VGK, where VGK is minus 238 at DraftKings. Totals 5.5. You can get 2-1 the other way on Minnesota. What do you think of that one?
I mean, I like Vegas in the series. I like Vegas tonight. I don't get the price, though. Like, Minnesota's been better than a 2-1 dog in this series in every single game from a just playing perspective. A big part for them, you mentioned how, for their full long season numbers don't look great. They lost 2 pieces middle of the season, Eriksson Ek and Kirill Kaprizov, and they came back 4 games before the playoffs started. Their season would have been very different had both of those guys been healthy throughout the entire regular season. We've seen Kirill Kaprizov absolutely make a mark on this series already on the offensive side. Beautiful goals, multiple assists. He has been phenomenal against this Vegas Golden Knights team. Again, though, they're one line, and Vegas is deep. And Vegas has, I would say, it's equal in goal between these two teams. Everywhere else, it's Vegas that should be better. I think Vegas wins tonight, but at the price, I almost want to bet the Wild. Like, this is one of those things where if you're gambling out there, just because you think someone's winning does not mean you accept the price you are being given, right? And I don't think Vegas wins this game 2 out of every 3 times. It feels much more like it's, we'll call it 58-42 type toward Vegas, which means that we should be at like the plus 160-ish number. So if I'm betting this game, and I'm not going to because I have way too much on the Vegas Golden Knights to win the series, I would be betting the Wild at this price.
I genuinely believe when the postseason comes and you start to have more recreational money come into the market, I believe the numbers being pushed down here in Los Angeles because, and I don't blame people for this, so let me be very clear. I literally think they just want to bet on McDavid and Draisaitl.
I agree with you, man.
The Kings are better.
Yeah, I think you get certain teams that just get love from the betting public, and in the playoffs, you're going to have more money bet on these hockey games. The Kings are one of those teams that's going to take money. I think the Golden Knights taking on the Wild are definitely one of those teams that is going to take some money. So I think you're dead on there, Patrick. I think the public money is only going in one direction in these games.
So the Devils first intermission, you can catch 2.5 with Carolina. You got to lay $1.43. They're plus 360 on the money line. So just in case you're interested, Toronto does trail, as Dustin mentioned. You can get a plus 110 on the money line, plus 115 on the money line with Toronto at home, 315 to play there in case you're interested. Let's go to the basketball where my Pistons started well, boys, but the big guys, Knicks, starting to take over a little bit here. Still plenty of time, 4:30 to go in the second. The Knicks do lead 27-22, starting to kind of impose their will. Interesting, we should talk about this one. The Bucks, we were thinking about talking about Giannis maybe playing his last game as a Buck, but he's going to do everything, and the Pacers right now trail by 2. You got anything on that one, Dustin? I'll start with you right now. The Bucks 91, the Pacers 89, 5:27 to play in the fourth.
Yeah, Giannis has a triple-double. That's where we're at. 25, 13, and 10 for Giannis. Also 2 steals, also 2 blocks. I mean, you could put him on just about any organization. He's carrying them in the playoffs. 5:27 to go. What is the number here? Because the market, despite Milwaukee keeping it close, okay, it's finally adjusted. Milwaukee is the favorite at -1.5, but for a time they had like a 7 to 10 point lead, and it was still Indiana -6.5, -5.5, somewhere in that range. So the market does believe Milwaukee holds on. I don't trust them. I don't think they have enough shooters in a late close game, whereas Indiana has way more options on offense. I'd think about catching that 1.5 or going -110 on the Pacers.
Yeah, it was 45-35 when I was out getting a smoothie with my daughter, and I'm like, great, I can get the Pacers at +4 here. This is awesome. I go in and -6. What?
Yeah.
-6? No, I'm not betting the -6 down 10 that late in the second quarter. If I can get the Pacers at plus money right now, it's five minutes left, I would take the Pacers. I think they're a deeper, faster, better team that the Bucks struggle to defend, and Giannis has to hit free throws down the stretch if this is going to be a close game, and I don't trust he's able to consistently do that.
All right, the other one, we're tied at 29, it looks like, with the Pistons and Knicks. In game, the Pistons are laying 4.5. Anything here, Samich? Did you do anything pre-flop on this one?
I have over 5.5 games in this series, so I need the Pistons to win tonight so I can get my 6th game and cash that bet. So I, in a roundabout way, have a Pistons money line ticket on this game. I have not bet this one pre-flop or in-game yet. If we do see the Pistons get a big lead, I might come back and try and take some Knicks plus money here. But look, this is going to be a loose game for the Pistons. I think they have a shot at winning this game. And if they get back to Detroit, we could see this one go 7. Like, this is one of those series where I think the Pistons are still live if we're able to be competitive here in New York.
Yeah, that number's back up on the game to 5.5. It just went to 6.5, back down to 5.5. I have pregame Pistons 5.5. One thing I'd look at once we go into the break, regardless of score, Detroit has somehow come out of halves in this series and dominated the third quarter. I look at Detroit right now plus 2.5 in the third quarter. The Knicks, by the way, turned it on in the fourth quarter, so I'd avoid it there in the second half. But the third quarter, there's something Bickerstaff's doing where he's able to kind of assess the situation, look at what went wrong, and adjust before Thibodeau can do anything. Because of that, I think Detroit coming out in the third, that'd be the play for me.
Low total tonight. Well, I guess either of you, Orlando, Boston, the only real news, Drew Holiday not going to play, Jaylen Brown going to play. I've got no interest. Either of you?
I would lay it with the Celtics if I was going to play it, but I didn't get to the window on it. This is one of those where I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to see the, like, either the Celtics win by 40 or it feels like they squeak by and win by 3, and I didn't want to get involved.
I mean, I could talk myself into Orlando first half +7 or a Peyton Pritchard prop, because if it's a blowout, he sees a lot of extended run. But honestly, I don't want to bet on this game because I don't want to have any investment in it. I don't want to have to check the score. I don't want to think about it. My brain's got enough going on in it these days. The last thing I want is the Orlando Magic involved.
A little bit of a flex with a busy mind.
Yeah,
huh?
Seriously.
It's not a good thing. It's a curse.
I'm just happy with the Shockey jerseys in the background again. I've been missing those.
Yeah. Propsy. One game I think we're all going to be focused on, that's later tonight. You know, I got to get 2 iPads going because I need to watch Kings Edmonton or Edmonton Kings, and I need to watch Clip Denver. Both series tied at 2s. I believe Denver boys open 1, Samich, and it's been bet to the Clip 1.5, 2. Obviously a low total, 209.5 on this one.
Yeah, I'm all over the Clips here. I like them for the series. I think they could have won all 4 of these games through the first 4 and just kind of found ways to blow game 1 and game 4. So a little frustrated they haven't been able to take care of business I expected in this series, but they're the better team. And yes, you're facing Jokic, and he's been phenomenal, but I'm willing to make Russell Westbrook hit 3s and Aaron Gordon hit 3s and make plays to beat me in these games. And that's what you are betting on here, because the Clippers will be there. They can make the plays. The question, are we going to see the Nuggets be able to do so as well? I played a little bit better number on the Clippers. If I found a 1.5 out there, I'd say play the Clippers again. I think they should be 2.5-ish 3-point favorites in this spot. So if the Clippers for me tonight, I think they get the job done.
Nikola Jokic is -125 to have a triple-double.
That's
not
ridiculous.
I'm not sure I've ever seen odds like that on someone to get a triple-double. Like, for example, I betted a bunch. It never got there. When Jalen Brunson was out for the Knicks for a while, I kept betting Josh Hart at like 7-1 to get a triple-double. But -125
Would you
is
fade
absurd.
Would you fade it?
There's no way to. You can't bet no against it. That's the problem. It's either you think it or you don't get a bet. Harden is 13-1 for triple-double. What I like is Harden double-double, -120. He's had a double-double twice in the series, game 1 and game 4. Game 3, he missed it by an assist. I know it's always like an issue wanting to bet on James Harden in a big spot, but I do think he comes up here for the Clippers because they do have a lot of help. So I would look at James Harden double-double -120.
Let's peek ahead to tomorrow on the ice. Samich, we should have a 2-2 series with the Panthers and Lightning. Don't go there. They go back to Tampa. It's $1.10 on Tampa. But the series that I know you and Halterman and obviously me and Dustin, once a blue, always a blue, tied up at 2s, headed back to Winnipeg. You and I discussed it. I genuinely believe with the yips on Hellebuck and going back to Canada, I think the Blues are playing with house money. They're going to be loose as a goose, and I think they have a chance to win this game.
I do too, and I think the price is crazy. Last I saw was plus 150 on the Blues, plus 145, right in that range. That's obscene. This is not a game that the Blues don't win that little. Like the first 2 games in Winnipeg were both close games. It was 5-3 where they got an empty netter, really a 1-goal game for the Jets, and then 2-1. The Blues were in every part of those games. The first game, it did feel like they got outplayed in the third period. The second game, it didn't feel like it was a big gap between the two teams. We saw at home the Blues get their offense going, put up 7 goals and 5 goals in those 2 games respectively. They solved Hellebuck in a lot of ways, and they got so much pressure on the Jets' defense in those 2 games by getting the puck deep. You saw the younger players play better. Now, the question is it just because they were in St. Louis? They've won 14 straight games on home ice. Is that the difference, or have they figured something out in this series? Either way, plus 145 is crazy. This should be like plus 115, plus 120 on the Blues. I like the Blues quite a bit tomorrow night, so I'm going to tie my money up with my emotional investment as well and be betting my boys as well as rooting for them.
Look, coming into the postseason, Mike, I know everyone took shots at the Capitals, weren't expected to make the run they've had. They're beating up on Montreal. I know Montreal's had health issues, goalie issues, all that stuff. But the numbers have moved a lot. And the Capitals now are all the way up to 5-1 in the East, and they are 10-1 to win it all. Do they have is that a big enough number to think about the Caps making a run here?
No, not even close.
Still not.
So for me, first off, the Caps get the winner of the Canes Devils. So if you wanted to go East, I don't hate it because the Canes and the Devils, the Hurricanes have issues. They are the better team in that, the Hurricanes are the better team in that bracket. But when you look at what the Capitals are going to have to do to be able to get by them, there's some question marks there. Now we've got the Hurricanes with question marks in goal and injuries to Anderson. So if he doesn't come back, that makes it a little more interesting. But then they have to face either the Maple Leafs or the winner of that Toronto or that Tampa Bay, Florida series. That's where the real challenge comes from. I will say this: the East number of 5-1 is not terrible, Dustin, because they have a chance at getting past that second round series, and then all of a sudden you need one series of 5-1. You can easily cover that and make some money. I would not take them for the Stanley Cup because I can tell you this much: if you're getting 5-1 to win the East and 10-1 to win the Stanley Cup, that means they're plus 100 in the finals. They're not going to be plus 100 against any of the teams out west.
I'll say this about the Caps: there is 0% chance they can beat anybody in the West. They should be proud. Like, Dylan Strom's a nice player, but they grind for everything. That's the difference. Like, the West, we play beautiful hockey. The Caps, I can't believe they're here. Give them credit. But wouldn't you say they work their ass off for literally every inch?
They do. And you know who, last year, I think there's a very nice parallel between last year's number one in the West. The Vancouver Canucks were not supposed to make the playoffs last year. They're the number one team in the West. They win in the first round, and then they get bounced by a real team in the second round. The Capitals this year, not supposed to make the playoffs in the East. They're the number one team in the East. They're going to win the first round. They're going to get bounced in the second round. It's very hard to go from a team that no one thought could make a run preseason, and then when you're facing the big boys for 7 straight games, to be able to be competitive at that level.
By the way, have you thought about placing any Conn Smythe bets this early, in the first round where you can get some value because there's so many options on the board? I know we like to do that with a lot of sports where just because you don't know, it's a crapshoot at this point, who's going to get there. Are there any big numbers that you're like, that might be worth a flyer at this point?
So I'll need one of you guys to look this up for me because my computer's being super slow right now. But Colorado right now down 3-2 to the Stars. And I kind of like Colorado to win the Cup at 14-1 because you were getting a huge boost in value. They're minus 180 favorites tomorrow to win Game 6 at home. Then you play Game 7 on the road. That's the big question mark. If they get past Game 7, they will be 3-1, 4-1 to win the Cup after they get out of this series. Nathan McKinnon right now is going to be a very nice price because of that. I would hope it's around the 20-1-ish number, maybe a little bit more. Anywhere in that range, I think, is playable.
I'm seeing 12-1 at ESPN Bet, but a bunch of places, because the games are going on right now, have that market off the board. But 12-1 this morning.
I would want a better price than the Avs win the Cup price. Right now, the Avs I saw at 14-1 this morning. That may have changed. And so I'd rather bet the Avs to win the Cup than McKinnon to win the Conn Smythe. If the Avs win the Cup, McKinnon's winning Conn Smythe. He's been that good this early in the playoffs. They will need to ride him to the playoffs. So I would want a better number, but if you can't get a better number, I would just take Colorado to win the Cup. 14-1 is a great price on a team that I think wins Game 6 and makes this a one-game series.
By the way, the Pistons are on a run, boys. They're up 5.
Let's go.
4 minutes to play. I think they're on a 16-5 run, which is I love. It's just such a plucky team. You gotta love the resilience.
They're still plus 1.5 on the game, despite being up 5.
So, Mike Somich, before we say goodbye, yeah, you got a crazy week. But VSiN and Mad Dog proper. Let's start with VSiN at the Track, Road to the Kentucky Derby. Coming up this Friday is going to be the last before the Kentucky Derby, obviously. That is 2:15 East, 11:15 West, but you can see it exclusively on VSiN's YouTube channel, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Go subscribe, watch the boys. Then 8 a.m. the next morning on VSiN proper, a replay. The big news, Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, a simulcast on VSiN and Mad Dog Sports Radio, Somich and Halterman, and you will be able to hear the Kentucky Derby live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. So I just want to make that clear. Somich, did I miss anything?
Nope, you nailed it. Race goes off at 6:57 Eastern, so we'll have 1 hour after that where we'll talk about whatever is going on in the sports world. Is also recap the Derby, talk about Triple Crown possibilities, go through everything on that front. Make sure you join the show live on Friday, VSiN at the Track at VSiN Live. During the breaks, we'll be talking about who we like on the Friday races. So we'll be giving out bets during the breaks of that show. You can only catch that if you are live, since those races are going off on Friday. That's the best time to get them or those bets into your account. And yeah, Saturday's going to be a blast, man. I think we're going to have Clippers and Nuggets Game 7. I think we're going to have Avs Stars Game 7. I think we're going to have Kings Oilers Game 7. And we're going to have the Kentucky Derby. Hopefully we've got Knicks Pistons Game 7 as well. We'll see if we're able to get there. It could be a phenomenal Saturday from a sports perspective. Make sure you join us over there on Channel 158 on VSiN, as well as Mad Dog Radio right here where you're listening now.
Great job. And you get to hear a very Ozarky Halterman. Sometimes when you ask Aaron something, he goes, well, that is Ozarky. I hope he's listening.
Minus 110.
110. Somich, thank you. Get back to the crew. We've got 2 big games coming up tonight. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there goes Mike Somich. We're coming back with Stuart Durst. It is VSiN Live.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, we do have overtime. Pacers-Bucks. The Pacers lead that series 3-1. What's the text you just sent me about that one?
I was just showing you the Tyrese Halliburton dunk that tied the game with a few seconds left. Milwaukee then got a final possession in regulation, and Giannis missed a jumper on the baseline. That's how he ended up with overtime, about to get underway, locked up at 103 apiece.
There you have it. Good one between the Pistons and Knicks. Pistons playing well, playing loose. You like to see it. Hanging in there with the Knicks. They got a put-back bucket. That should be a foul. It is going to be a foul with Sewer going to the free throw line. He's playing well tonight. Pistons right now 47-45 over the Knicks. $1:30 to play in the second. We're hoping to force a game 6 in that one. Carolina got a goal right out of the intermission. So New Jersey, first intermission was up 3-0. Carolina got a goal. It's now 3-1. Ottawa still leads Toronto 1-0. In Toronto, 4:09 to play there. So we'll keep you updated. Of course, got the good games coming up later tonight. The Clip at Denver. You've got Edmonton at the Kings. So a lot to get to. And in doing so, we're going to bring in our buddy Stuart Durst, 4for4 football betting analyst, Pass the Prop podcast at Monotone Football on Twitter with 1L. And we say what's up to our buddy. Hi, Stuart. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? We got a lot of good stuff right now. We just went to the freaking overtime in this Bucks Pacers game, so I'm a little fired up right now, but doing good.
Did you do anything with that game?
I have a little Bucks money line at like a good plus money price tag, so I was hoping they'd take care of business in regulation, but obviously instead we got like a fadeaway Giannis deep 2, which sent us to overtime. So.
By the way, as a DC guy, I did notice this because there was a couple offshores posted odds for Giannis's next team, and didn't notice the Wizards' name in there despite their assets. Does that offend you that Giannis wouldn't think about coming to the nation's capital?
No offense taken. You know, I feel like I always say on Twitter, I've watched more Wizards basketball than anyone not paid by the team, you know, and I do wear that with honor. I do like being a Wizards fan, but I'm not going to hate on anyone for not coming down here. But I will say, we got a good rebuild coming. It's looking like Cooper Flag could be walking in the building in like 1 to 2 years. This is going to be an awesome place to be. So you guys can laugh right now. We got a lot of middling teams in the East. But if you're like a Heat fan right now, you shouldn't be laughing at the Wizards. We're going up. You guys are Bulls fans. You know, there's a lot of Hawks. I'm just saying, we're looking pretty good long term. So one guy, Kevin Durant, come home, buddy. It's not.
See, but he's already. That's the problem. He's already spurned you. So if Durant's not going to come home to the DMV, Giannis certainly isn't going to pick you. The Hurricanes 3-2. I got in when they were down 3-0 plus 380. We're going to get juicy here, people. We're going to get juicy. All right, let's talk about the basketball. Did you do anything with Knicks Pistons? A good one with time running out in the second quarter. Knicks lead by 2, 49-47.
I had a little bit of Tobias Harris points in that game, but outside of that, not much. Honestly, that's just been a fun series to watch. You know, I didn't know what the Pistons would look like come playoff time, but they're a team that the Wizards we can't laugh at. They're going up as well. A good young core right there. I think they just need a couple like Malik Beasley kind of pieces, right? Because if Malik Beasley's not shooting well, they're not really winning, and that shouldn't be your playoff game plan, is depending on a guy like Malik Beasley. So shout out Cade. He's doing awesome down there. They just need 1 or 2 other pieces to kind of give him a little bit of help.
A game about to tip off. The Celtics laying 11.5, hosting the Magic. Total is 199. I mean, that is a low total for a playoff game, Stu. I know nothing official there, but when you look at the matchup, anything you'd think about playing?
Yeah, I like Peyton Pritchard. He's been good to me in this series. You only got to play him for 10 points in this game. Not only does he have potential to hit this in regulation time, but he's one of the only starters that would also play in garbage time, right? I mean, he'll get those fourth quarter minutes if they're up by a good amount. I personally do think it's been awesome watching, Paulo fight and stuff like that. They got the same problem. Like, KCP can't be your third best player. It's been great from the top two guys, but the surrounding cast has been ugly. So I do think a blowout is within the realm of possibility. It's what's made the series really hard to bet because you can't really count on guys for starter minutes. But Pritchard is one of the few guys, and he'll get his own bucket. That's the thing. Orlando takes away spot up shooting and they take away rebounding. Pritchard's whole game is kind of getting his own bucket. So you want self-creators against Orlando, and I think he fits that bill for a good reason. The other guy I'll shout out, Wendell Carter Jr., was not high on him at all coming into the series. He's sneaky been awesome. I mean, like 10 points, I think is pretty solid. He's been a good rebounder. He's closing games. I like Jonathan Isaacs just because I'm a sucker for defense no matter what. Someone that can guard like that, I would play 10 out of 10 times. But frankly, like Wendell Carter's just looked way better. Like he's looked really good out there. So not someone I was very high on coming into the series, but actually impressed me a lot in these last couple games.
Our buddy Stuart Durst joining us. We've got a great one coming up in Denver tonight. Even if you're not betting it, I think it's an exciting game to watch. The number has flipped. It's 1.5-2 with the Clippers on the road. What do you think about the game in general? And then I know you got a couple of props here.
Yeah, I mean, Clippers on the road as favorites is a little bit surprising to me. I love the Clippers. I'm normally down to ride with them in most situations. But I think if you're betting against the spread, I do think this one's kind of Denver or bust right here. You get obviously the Denver role players in better shooting conditions, and then flipped for the Clippers guys right there. I think this is obviously a huge game in this series. It's been, like you mentioned right there, the best series we've had so far. And I do think Jokic on like 100% must-win capacity is the most dangerous weapon in this game. And I love Kawhi Leonard. So I think it'll be close. It'll be down to the wire. But if I had to go against the spread, I don't know how you wouldn't go Denver, especially as underdogs in this one.
Stu, you bet more props than just about anyone I know. Nikola Jokic's triple-double prop.
Boys, we're tied up. Carolina, Dustin, Carolina just tied it up 3-3. So they were down 3-0 at the first intermission. It's now tied 3-3. They're going to be big favorites.
I'm annoyed. I bet it too early. I got plus 150 when they were down 1-0. You got a great number at almost 4-1. Real quick, Stu, on Jokic. Triple-double. Did you see what he's priced at tonight?
Yeah, it's like minus 110, right?
That's crazy. Have you ever seen a triple-double prop priced like that?
Yeah, there's been a couple. Russell Westbrook, same team, back in the day when he was getting free reign over there. But no, it's insane. And obviously in a playoff game, it makes it just that much more insane. I will say I'd rather lay 22.5 rebounds and assists just because you get upside if he goes crazy in either category, whether it's rebounds or assists. I think I'd probably rather pay that because in most spots now that I'm looking at it, we're even down to minus 125, minus 130 for a triple-double, which just isn't something I'm really ever comfortable playing, to be honest.
That game tonight, I believe you have one or two props. Do you, Stu? Player props?
Oh, yeah. And I'll start with the uglier one, too, because it's my favorite. We got Nicholas Batum over 1.5 threes. You can get that at plus 110. In 4 games this series, Nicholas Batum has taken 23 shots. Every single one of them has been a three, and 14 of them have been deemed wide open threes. So Nicholas Batum is sitting out in the corner or top of the key wide open while Kawhi or Harden or Powell or one of these guys goes to work. And if they send a double, Batum is just going to be sitting there. And once again, all of his shots have been threes. 14 of them, over half of them, have been deemed wide open threes. Like, the opportunity is as good as you can possibly get. And if Batum's going to take 6 threes a game, which is what he's on pace for so far, I really see no reason why I wouldn't take this at plus money. Then when you dive deeper and you look at the role players, Batum's a veteran. He's been around for a while. There's a couple viral songs out there making fun of him fourth quarter. Why is Batum in? Hey, the guy's a reliable veteran. He's shooting 43% from 3 on the road. He's the only one of their role players that's shooting better on the road than he is at home. The guy gets hate, but he's like dependable. I think he'll be out there in the fourth quarter over a guy like Dunn, who struggled a lot more on the road. Bogdanovich, if he's not making his shot, he's going to be pulled pretty quickly. Like, I think Nicholas Batum has a lot of minutes upside tonight, and I've really heard nobody talk about him, but he's just a dependable veteran. He gets the job done, and he's someone that I love backing at plus money.
What about someone from the Denver side of things? Who would you want to back and what type of prop?
Yep, I'm sticking with the threes. I got Michael Porter Jr. over 1.5 threes. It's around minus 145 right now, so a little bit of juice on this prop. If you like a parlay piece, I think Christian Braun to get a steal. If you combine those together, it's plus money. Braun has a steal in all 8 games against the Clippers, 2 in most games this series, and he's playing like every minute of the second half. So the minutes are going to be like 40 plus. I think that's a great little parlay. But Michael Porter Jr. is a guy in past playoffs has been lined at 2.5 or 3.5 threes. So I'm normally not super interested in drinking the juice there, but he's a guy that you know what his role is. He's going to sit out in the corner. He's going to shoot threes, and he's got Nikola Jokic passing him the ball, who, like you mentioned, is literally like minus 115 for a triple double tonight. So we know the assist opportunities are going to be there. We know the kickouts are going to be there. We know the double teams on Jokic are going to be there. When you think about it logically, who is most, prepared to take advantage of that? It's Michael Porter Jr. He's just a pure shooter. The volume's going to be there. He's injured. He's not 100%. I think that's why you're getting a little bit of a discount on the line. But the guy played over 40 minutes last game. I would expect him to once again. Just the fact that this is even a 1.5 line to me is very, very appealing when the whole goal is going to be stop Jokic, slow him down as much as possible. That's going to open up opportunities for Porter Jr. And there's just not that much scoring on this Denver team in general. So love both of those guys for their 3 props tonight.
Stu, you're going to get your Milwaukee money line. They are up 6 with 40 seconds to play. I don't think I jinxed you as they're going to the free throw line. Say to work for it, but it looks like you may cash it there.
Hey, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I missed the overtime, so I was sweating it. I was a little worried there, but I'm glad. We get more basketball. That's what I like to root for. I like more playoff games in general.
First free throw is good, up 7, 40 seconds. If you get this one, you should be good. All right, before we say goodbye, just curious, Timberwolves Lakers tomorrow night, 5.5 on the side. It's not official, but do you have a lean on the side there?
Well, I mean, at 5.5, it would have to be the dog. I mean, I'm just not doing that. The Lakers have been impressive. Like they need to win. Obviously, it's a huge game, 3-1. But I can't do 5.5. If anything, maybe the money line. But I think it's been another series that's awesome, and I think it's going to come down to the wire. So I do not have enough confidence in the Lakers. I mean, Luka, whether it's the illness, he's looked like locked in for the first 3 quarters of every game, and then in the fourth quarter, when you need him the most, it's kind of where it's a little bit more questionable. So I think it'll be a close game down to the wire. But if I had to go, it'd be Timberwolves as dogs for sure.
Yeah, he gets tired. Luke is getting tired. Stuart Durst, 4for4 football betting analyst, Pass the Prop podcast at Monotone Football with 1L on Twitter. Good luck to you, Stu. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Let's cash some tickets, guys.
Let's cash those tickets. There goes our buddy Stuart Durst. When we come back, Dustin, let's get you caught up, including Carolina scores 3 unanswered, and then immediately Jersey scores, so it's 4-3. The most unesthetically pleasing series has 7 goals with like 11 minutes to go in the second period. That's playoff hockey.
And they had no goals the first 2 games, basically.
None. But they're making up for it tonight. We'll continue. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Look, I don't believe in mushes or jinxes, but my bad, Stu. I said 40 seconds to go, up 7, that the Milwaukee Bucks were up 7 with 40 seconds to go. And I said, you got this on the money line. Indiana just beat Milwaukee 119-118. So, not great. And I apologize. They do advance. The Indiana Pacers have advanced. So there it is.
Well, it's one thing to discuss Giannis's future. I think everyone's in agreement, though. The Doc Rivers thing needs to be done. Doc Rivers, who basically hired himself as a consultant to be the Bucks head coach when they pushed Budenholzer out the door, I think we can move on and go in a completely different direction if you're Milwaukee. It's just there's better options out there right now.
My assumption is Doc would want to move on. I don't know if Doc wants to be coaching right now. So we shall see. A 2-man advantage for Carolina as a couple of Devils just went to got called for penalties. And listen, Giannis is very emotional right now. So it obviously means something. I don't think he's emotional for being bounced this year. He is almost in tears, it appears.
I mean, look, he's like one of the true good guys that we have in sports that you're just like, there's a purity about him. There's something like really sweet about him. And he's doing all he can do. 30 points, 20 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I just think for Milwaukee, they should do right by the guy who brought him a title. And for him, he should request to go somewhere else so they can start over, because it's just with the situation they're in with Damian Lillard, they're kind of their hands are tied right now with what they can do in the offseason in terms of trying to compete with him in his window.
One-timer, Carolina ties it up at 4s with the 2-man advantage. Still going to have a man advantage. Let's go. 4-4. A series that saw no scoring. Has 8 goals with 8:33 to play in the second period. So that's hockey, Susan.
I've heard from Stu. Stu says, looks like money line was not in the bag.
You tell him. You tell that kid, I don't believe in mushes. I don't care. I was just trying to jock him. Screw him. I'm not playing that game.
Tyrese Halliburton,
yeah.
8 points, by the way. 8 points in overtime for Halliburton.
I'm sure what I say in Hermosa Beach, California, has an impact on Indianapolis. Get the hell out of here. I was trying to be positive.
Everything was going in Milwaukee's direction until you spoke.
I said I was trying to be positive. If you want to believe in little hoaxes like that, then get ready when Santa comes down the chimney as well. And don't lose a tooth. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888 623 3646. Our buddy Eric Lindquist joins us next. Talking sports betting here. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN's on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. What does it get you? I'll tell you. You get a daily email with all the best bets from hosts and their guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa Sports to help you become more sophisticated as a bettor. Watch the market. Plus, our Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide when it drops. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS. VSiN, the sports betting network. We're going to welcome in our buddy. He is the biggest fan of the state of California. His name is Eric Lindquist. He can't get enough of it. He loves it. Odds shopper, betting analyst at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. It's a busy night, Eric. How we feeling?
We're feeling okay. It's just kind of getting going for me. I've got some interesting stuff coming up in the late night window, but overall, I'm just biding my time until I go to the Timberwolves game tomorrow. It's going to be electric. Game 5. I'm going to be there. I cannot wait. Go Minnesota.
Wait, I was going to say you're
yeah.
You're a Minnesota guy, so you're
Yes.
going to be in enemy's territory. The question is, will you be wearing T-Wolves gear inside crypto?
I'm going to be wearing my old school Kevin Garnett white. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so clean with the Jordans, and I can't wait. It's going to be a sight to see. So 11th row behind the Minnesota bench, you can find me. It'll be pitch dark in there, and I can't wait to watch LeBron James cry tears. It's going to be lovely.
Wait, 11th row? You're close
11th
to the
row.
wood. Those taxes must not have been that bad. Let's go.
I was going to say, Arizona's lovely this time of year, too. So it works out
Let's
nicely.
go.
I gotta tell more of your home run bets that you put out there. I got us at 11.
Well, they were good last week. Hopefully you just ignored anything that I said yesterday. And today it's just getting going because J-Ram hasn't even started. Jazz Chisholm got hurt immediately, so that was not useful in any way, shape, or form. But those are meant to be more, I'm not going to say fun because it's definitely something I've profited on over the last couple of years. But you definitely are trimming unit sizes down. I don't stress it as much because over a long sample size, you're trying to carve out edges. You're betting a lot of, for me, 5 through 9 guys. You're trying to target game environments. You're doing things a little bit differently rather than casually just firing it here and there, but smaller unit allocations than I normally would.
You mentioned the Timberwolves. That game on Sunday, as a T-Wolves fan, I'm guessing you were enjoying it because it felt like the Lakers were leading forever, and then they just got gassed. Yep. Anthony Edwards is incredible. Naz Reid, you're going to have to pay him. It's a team. How serious are they? Like, how far can they carry this?
Well, if the refs let us play physical, pretty far, because I don't know. Julius Randle apparently defensively found another gear, and that's something that he's got that dog in him right now, going back into his old stomping grounds. I've enjoyed the last couple of days being wrong about Julius Randle and some of the things that I had said before the season. I love it when I'm wrong about things like this because it never goes well for a Minnesota sports fan. But when you're allowed to pressure hands on, and it's probably going to be a tighter whistle game 5 Lakers. That's just kind of the way that it'll roll. But Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, when you can switch every matchup between those three. And Rudy Gobert, this is not the best series for him, especially when they go small. I expect Dorian Finney-Smith to start like he did in the second half again. It's going to be tough for Rudy Gobert to stay out on the floor defending pick and rolls with Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith at the top there, LeBron James. But man, the hand checking that you're able to do with Edwards, McDaniels, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, it is beautiful to watch this iteration of Minnesota basketball. And now Julius Randle defensively able to kind of hold his ground in the post. I'm really, really having fun.
You know, they were like 2-1, a little bit shorter than that, like plus 180, plus 190 to win the series coming into this. As a Minnesota fan, why do you think the market didn't understand what they were? Because down the stretch, they were playing great basketball. Over the final, 6 weeks of the season, they really kind of hit their stride. The depth was showing. They had versatility. But why do you think the market didn't understand how good they were capable of being?
It just depends. I mean, I definitely agreed with the market. I thought that it was priced pretty efficiently. And if I had to do anything, I would have taken the Lakers side. I think I had said that a couple weeks ago with you guys as well. It comes down to, with the Lakers, you have Luka Doncic, you have LeBron James. When you have two generational talents like that, we still don't know what Anthony Edwards' ceiling is because it's still like he's hitting that stride right now. Is it even higher than where he's currently been at? And then Jaden McDaniels offensively, the Lakers are letting him shoot. They're letting him take over. I mean, 22 shot attempts in game 4. I mean, just finding so many different, or sorry, game 3 that was, but game 4 still being assertive offensively. I think Jaden McDaniels flipping the switch into playoff mode is kind of even more impressive to me than anything else. Plus, you get a healthy Dante DiVincenzo. He had still started to find his stride, had been out for about a month and a half, 2 months at the beginning of this season. And so we hadn't really seen all the pieces come together. And Julius Randle, again, I can't say enough good things about what I've seen from him the last 4 games. I didn't know that he had this type of player on the defensive side in him. And when you haven't ever seen it in his entire career, whether that's in New York because he was dog tired at the end of seasons when Thibodeau's playing him a million minutes, or whether that was in LA on some terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Lakers teams, I think Julius Randle being able to flip that switch isn't something you could have necessarily accounted for either. So defensively, when you can play him at like a 5, like we're talking a completely different roster.
Randall got in shape his last couple of years with the Knicks, but this is the best shape he's ever been in.
Oh, for sure.
He looks. If you look at him in college to now, it is not the same human being. He can tell he's taking it serious, and good for the kid. Let's get a baseball play in, and we'll circle back to the basketball. We got a game, first pitch in a little over, we're looking at 30 minutes here with the Giants and Padres. What are you doing here, Eric?
Yeah, we're going to go to 2. We're going to kind of split exposure is kind of the way that I go about this. We're going to take 2 unders, but we're going to take the first 5 market. I got it under 3.5 -110. Also under 7 for the entire game. The San Diego bullpen, we're pretty aware of what they are. And Logan Webb, my goodness, this guy over on the San Francisco side, adding new dimensions to his pitch mix as well. He's always been somebody who induces a lot of ground balls with that sinker, but he got rid of a changeup that had kind of been ineffective, and he was throwing that primarily to lefties. And lefties were still popping it off at a 308 expected batting average clip, 278 actual. So, like, there was room for it to get even worse. No. This season, they really revamped him and found ways for him to be effective, but he's not even the most impressive of the 2 pitchers. Nick Pivetta starting for San Diego, he's always had a power problem going back to any team, any situation. He's given up power to lefties. He's given up powers to righties. He could always strike out 10 from time to time, but when he gave up hits, it was leaving the building. Only 1 home run given up all season long so far by Nick Pivetta in a pretty decent sample size, 74 batted ball events, 275 ex-WOBA to go with it. The San Diego Padres have done an unbelievable job with some starting pitchers. Michael King, I really like the work that they did with him coming over from New York, although the talent was there. Dylan Cease. And now Nick Pivetta, it seems like this repertoire is just improving. If he's going to keep the power in the building, I really think you want to be early to the party on some of these unders, especially with that potent bullpen behind him. San Diego, I mean, surging to the top of the NL West. San Francisco sitting there as well, but I think they'll start fading as the year goes on. I really think both starters pitch deep into this one, pitch successfully. And as long as Logan Webb keeps doing what he's doing, which is inducing the ground ball contact along with nearly a 31% K rate to start off his season, survive Tatis, survive Oraz, who's back in the lineup tonight, survive Machado, you'll be just fine. So I like the under 3.5 for the first 5, and I'm combining that also with another play under 7 for the full game.
Pivetta is interesting because, you know, he played in like 2 really bad hitters parks in Philly and then Fenway, but he's also missing bats more now. It's really weird to see that happen. I know he's in a better pitcher park now at Petco, but he's also striking guys out. I mean, he's been awesome for them, and they kind of stole him in the offseason. I'm going to ask a very selfish question because I am just starting to become someone who bets on hitter props. It was something I avoided for a long time. And I find it's very feast or famine. I'm either having a very good day or I miss every single one that I bet. And I'm curious, what are the markers? Like, what are you looking for when you're trying to find a total base or a home run or one of the other hitter props? Because for me, I'm really just looking at the history, which I know you analytics people don't like batter versus pitcher history. And then I'm also looking at lefty-righty splits. And that's pretty much the lengths I go to. What is someone like you who's more analytical? What are you trying to find?
I'm projecting plate attempts, and it sounds really, really basic, but I don't think enough people do it correctly, especially when you go on X, when you go on gambling Twitter, and you take a look around at some of the sludge and it's just so confusing because it's not like books don't know what the weather is outside. It's not like books aren't familiar with what the ballparks are. So where are your edges? Where can you potentially find something? I really do like to be very, very adamant about betting players or shorting players when I think that there's pitch hit potential, because I think that there can be a gradual edge over time that isn't necessarily accounted for. I also think lineup order, when you're able to be early to the party on somebody who gets upgraded from a 5-hole to a 2-hole. Can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I mean, even like a 7-hole hitter, they average right around 3.5, maybe 3.7 plate attempts that they're going to have throughout the course of an average major league game. Now, if there's a 9 total, you might move that closer to the marker to 4. You might move it to 3.4 for a total that's sitting there closer to 7. And these are things that won't necessarily show up in the marketplace all the time, especially as hold has gone up. We're seeing like minus 125, minus 105. The day of dime lines has just been few and far between when it comes to some of these hitter props. So you really need to look into the data. You really need to take your time. And if you can, I would just start with guys like Gavin Sheets or somebody of that nature where it's not necessarily happening with all the injuries there in San Diego, but he's somebody that I've routinely take unders on, going back to his White Sox days. Somebody that I think it will have some pinch hit risk going forward there in San Diego. So those are the things that I think can really help you as you're diving into the market, just to be able to really find some carved out edges. If you're able to pick and choose correctly, take a look at the bullpens on Roster Resource on Fangraphs, really see what bullpen tendencies are for certain teams. Guys like Stephen Vogt is going to be utilizing a Cleveland bullpen like crazy and riding them into the sunset 3-4 consecutive days. Other teams hate to use guys back-to-back days. And the books don't always account for that right from the get-go. They'll let people like me or other sharp bettors or people who consider themselves sharp mine that out for them. They'll increase the hold on both sides, and they're going to be profitable no matter what. So for you to be profitable, you got to be ahead of the game. Bet them early, find where your edges lie, and carve them out.
Betting School, Eric Lindquist, Odds Shopper, betting analyst at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. Let's talk about the game tonight, NBA. I know you got a couple of props. Let's start with the game itself. Clippers, Nuggets tied up at 2s, head back to Denver. Number flip, the Clippers are laying 1.5, low total 208.5. Is the number correct at 1.5?
I mean, we got 2 injuries that are just waiting. We've officially gotten word on Russell Westbrook because I've got notifications on my phone available to play Tuesday. Wanted to double check that. Just came through. Him and Michael Porter Jr. both dinged up, and I think that definitely matters. That's probably why you're seeing the flip. Shoulder injury there for Michael Porter Jr. He's been playing through it, and obviously pretty effectively last time out. Ended up getting up to 43 minutes, but that's a pretty hefty workload for a guy who isn't known for his defense by any means. And the Clippers, I mean, they came, literally 0.0001 seconds away from making this 3-1 going here to Game 5. So it's definitely a team in the Clippers that have been winning on thin margins. But when you're as good defensively as they are, I think you're kind of allowed to. And I don't think there's a lot of juice there on the Denver side off the bench. They've always had bench problems for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Outside of the Bruce Brown title season, I can't think of a single bench that I've actually enjoyed watching play basketball for the Denver Nuggets. And it's going to be a lot of starters minutes. And you have a number of guys who can rotate in for that 4th, 5th piece, whether it's Nick Batum, whether it's Ben Simmons, who is definitely stand pat, hasn't had to play a lot of minutes, but is able to at least contain Jokic for however many minutes you need to have Zubats there on the sidelines. They just have more that they can throw at Denver and change things up from game to game than the inverse. So I understand why the number went there. And all of that being said, it's my way of saying that it's efficient. I don't really want to bet it. I would be going to the Clippers if you absolutely made me here, but I think you're probably better off if you like the Clippers today. Bet the series price because you'll probably be able to get on the come up for the Denver side for like 2 games. I think that there's a lot of ways that you could probably mine that out. I haven't done the complete math on it, but I do know that I'd rather bet Denver as far as the series price goes rather than anything else in this game.
You can get minus 160 on the Clippers right now, plus 135 on the Nuggets when it comes to that series price.
Okay.
So one of my favorite parts about having you on the show, Eric, is I know I'll get a text at some point leading into your spot where you're super excited about some angle that you discovered. And today, you were deep in the weeds, my friend. Explain to me from a player prop perspective what jumped out to you when you crunched the numbers and how you ended up with a 4-1 play on tonight's game between the Clippers and Nuggets.
Yeah, get your popcorn ready. This is either going to make me look really smart or really stupid. More than likely, really stupid. But Chris Dunn is your fifth starter basically on the Clippers that I'm talking about. He only played sub 20 minutes because Bogdanovich, the Clippers, were in a game script where they really needed to come from behind and they needed to find offense on the floor down 20, 25 there at the end of that fourth quarter, or at the beginning of the fourth quarter in game 4. And Bogdanovich stayed out on the floor. They kept Chris Dunn off. Now, he's averaged 25 and a half minutes per game in this series. Chris Dunn, not known as a phenomenal rebounder, known as a phenomenal defender going back to being drafted by my Timberwolves, then the Utah Jazz, once he was like out of the league for a hot second. And he's really found a home here with the Clippers because of what he's able to do on that end of the floor. That being said, I love that Russell Westbrook is in for today because he killed the Clippers on the boards in game 1, 4 offensive rebounds. Game 2 continued that trend, but Chris Dunn started crashing the boards. He's had 6, 8, 6 boards in games 2, 3, and 4, respectively. He's averaging 9.5 rebound chances per game. And you know where his line is set? 2.5. When I see something like that, when we see 9.5 rebound chances per game, if you just allow them to convert half of those, which would be a below average conversion rate, we're talking a way too low of line that is based on his regular season and what his minutes were in game 4. You combine all that together, it's like the perfect storm of what you should be looking for when you want to ladder a prop, whether that's in the strikeout market, whether that's somebody up to 200 yards Jamar Chase style in the NFL, whatever it is, when you see an angle like this, you really want to jump on it. So what I did is I started at the 2.5 number, minus 140. I then jumped up to 3.5. You were able to get that at a nice plus money price, to 4, to 5, to 6. We took it up to 6, where it finishes out at plus 750 now, is now 7 plus over at FanDuel. That's kind of intriguing. I'm probably exposed enough where I'm going to keep that one off, but you're able to get a really, really nice ladder that I think has a ton more upside, especially if this game stays close and he plays closer to the 29, 30 minutes that I would expect.
For novice bettors, that's Jokic, nah. Kawhi, nah. Harden, nah. You got to focus tonight on Chris Dunn. We love it. I want to ask you about tomorrow because there's no way you're going to Minnesota Lakers 8th row and not betting the game. You probably haven't dug into your props yet, but the Lakers are laying 5.5, 209.5 on the total. Does the side and total feel right to you?
Yeah, it does. Here's the one question I have, and that is, what is Dorian Finney-Smith's role going to be tomorrow? Because there's one Q tag that is waiting in the wings that I don't think anybody is. I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure. He hasn't played a single game for the Los Angeles Lakers yet, but he's played a lot of basketball with Luka Doncic, and that is Maxi Kleber. He is upgraded to questionable for Game 5. I think shorting Dorian Finney-Smith in some capacity makes a ton of sense. His numbers haven't moved since the Open. They're just sitting there. And I'm not saying that we're going to angle shoot some amazing opportunity the same way that I feel about the Chris Dunn play, but I do look at Dorian Finney-Smith 1.5 threes under plus 130 over at DraftKings. That's at least intriguing to me right from the get-go. 1, he's had low usage. 2, there's definitely still going to be a lot of usage up for Reeves, for LeBron James. And then even if Maxi Kleber plays 6, 8 minutes, this number was introduced as though Dorian Finney-Smith was going to play 40 plus minutes. And whenever I see something like that, it becomes intriguing to entertain the idea of an under. Now, the main question is, if Kleber ends up out, you don't want to necessarily be holding that ticket. Is it worth the wait to be able to just sit here and hope that the books don't adjust the number? Me talking about it, probably not the best thing always, but I think it probably stays in that vicinity. I'd rather just wait closer till tip. If you get Maxi Kleber playing, I think there's a chance that he ends up playing 6, 8 minutes as your backup 5 instead of Jackson Hayes. He has the rapport with Luka Doncic. He's not a usage guy whatsoever. He's out there for defensive purposes and defensive purposes only. Can be a 3-and-D guy, but overall, I think that Dorian Finney-Smith, if there's any kind of concern about him playing the full allotment of minutes the same way JJ Redick pushed everybody in that second half, I think there's a world where we take some unders there.
I love that. I love that. Also, I want to note, because I mentioned it earlier in the show, Eric, before you were on, Jokic tonight is minus 125 to have a triple-double. In tomorrow's Lakers-Timberwolves game, Luka's 9-1 to have a triple-double. LeBron 5-1 to have a triple-double. feels like season on the line, we could be getting a special LeBron game. Would you think about playing that market or even the double-double market at all?
Yeah, I would look at the double-double market for sure. I mean, with Jokic, it's just way better to be looking at like 9.5 assists. I've been routinely looking at that market more in this series. You've been getting some interesting numbers on that. I think that considering the rebound opportunities have just been way up for him, they should come down in this game with Russell Westbrook there, and I haven't really seen the numbers move all that much to account for it. Those are things that you need to account for as a bettor, because usually that's a one-way market. Getting the no on the triple-double, generally there's a massive hold on the other side where you're just not going to be able to get the kind of price that you're looking for. You're not going to be able to be profitable long-term on that unless you're at some marketplace where you're able to post it yourself. But I definitely think the triple-double market is very intriguing for a LeBron James. As you said, he's in great physical shape. He wasn't even tired at the end of that second half. The guy spends millions of dollars a year on his body. I think the 5-1 on him is probably more intriguing than the 9-1 on Luka, just at first glance, but I think both are definitely great shout-outs by you.
Well, enjoy the basketball game. Are you a heckler? Will you be yelling?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to be just awful. I tend to be loud in real life, so I don't know if you can tell that through the interwebs, but it's definitely something that I will be vocal. I will let LeBron James know that I'm his daddy for one night and one night only. It'll be great. Actually, no, I just want Julius Randle to keep doing Julius Randle things and we'll be fine. It'll be an entertaining game, and I'll probably just cry. I'll probably be the Timberwolves fan crying in the corner when we win 4-1.
Eric Lindquist, odds shopper, betting analyst. You can find him on Twitter at Eric Lindquist and find him on television tomorrow night in Los Angeles, 8th row. Do you know which side you're sitting? Where you
It's
sit?
11th row. It's gonna be on like the corner end of the bench. So I mean, I can't get full profile directly behind the Timberwolves bench, but I got like a little side corner there. I've carved out my little space. I kind of know the ins and outs of where I need to go around Crypto.com arena. It's gonna be beautiful time.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking for you. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, there goes Eric Lindquist. By the way, Ottawa got a shorty, Dustin. Toronto was on a power play, down 1-0, a fast break the other way. Ottawa scores. So that's a good job by the Senators, who not a lot of people are going to be overly interested in, if we're being fair. But they come into this down 3-1 in the series at Toronto. The city itself is going to lose their minds when they lose tonight.
I love this. I love the Maple Leafs always choking it away. Now, Ottawa's got a lot it's up against right now to come back and actually win the series, but I love the idea of the Senators winning one on the road here and extending this thing a little bit more, because you know those Maple Leaf fans are not sitting comfortably.
Getting their second goal shorthanded that's something for a Toronto fan base that was just down 1, plenty of time to go. Austin Matthews and the crew, and the jinx could continue. Now, they are up 3-1 in the series, but you got to give props to Ottawa. You also have to give props to my Pistons, who are up 7 right now. They were just up 10, so it appears the Knicks got a 3-pointer, but they're up 7, and here's a bucket. Our free throw attempts coming for the Knicks, who trail 71-64, 3:37 to play in the third. Orlando, a nice showing, 32-23, 10:15 to play in the second. So they're playing well in Boston.
Well, one note on your Pistons, this is what they do. They're winning the third quarter 22-15. They were catching 2.5. It's how the entire series has gone. It's come down to the fourth quarter where the Knicks look like they're down and out. They make a run, they somehow win the game, and that's how this series has gone. Do they have more magic in them tonight? That's the key here, with just 3:20 to go in the third, and this being a 6-point game.
Yeah, need the Pistons to play tough in the fourth quarter. The Bucks, an absolute meltdown.
Dude.
Regulation, meltdown. They were up 20. And then overtime, meltdown. They were up 7 with 40 seconds to play. The Pacers win 119-118 to advance in that series. There was a scuffle in the handshake line, And I even believe they showed Giannis like kind of John with Halliburton's dad.
Yeah, they were nose to nose. I don't know what was said or what was done, but Giannis was nose to nose, and they had to be. You never see Giannis like that. You never see him frazzled and angry and wanting to fight, let alone fight a senior citizen.
Well, but typical Giannis, like they were John, and then I think it ended peacefully. Like Giannis eventually, he's just got such a kind temperament that I think there was some words, and then he was just like, it's all good. Like, that's Giannis.
Yeah, and that's why whoever gets him next is going to have just the perfect superstar to have in your roster.
71-67, so the Knicks are making a comeback here. They were just down 10 a blink ago, and now they're down 4. So as a Pistons backer, you don't love to see it, but it's crunch time for the Pistons. It's time to show up, as you mentioned, in the fourth quarter. I don't think they're going to fade. They're showing the shorty. Toronto was on a power play. It was a beautiful goal in transition.
Oh, yeah, I'm just seeing it.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous goal.
But how does the team that's shorthanded end up in that situation able to make a play like that where they're the aggressor? Like that is a
if you're
that is a bad look for
Maple
Toronto.
Leafs fan to come home up 3-1, be down 1 goal, 11 minutes to go, give up a shorthanded goal. There are going to be a lot of drunk people in Toronto after this game. That's all I can say.
Well, they're not going to be feeling good about things because they've seen this play out time and time again with the Leafs.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We do have a game. We have puck dropping there next to you at T-Mobile in just a couple of minutes here with the Wild and VGK. My assumption is they're still 2.5, like minus 250. You have an updated number on VGK?
Yeah, minus 245. You can get 2-1 on the Wild, plus 1.5 on Minnesota, minus 135. Does that interest you?
I like the pluses, but the Wild have been playing great. I mean, it goes without saying I wouldn't lay 245 with VGK. It's been a pretty even series. That's a crazy price. 3-point game with the Knicks. Who's shooting that 3? That was disgusting from the Pistons. The Pistons look out of sorts right now, which is making me bitter. They were literally just up 10 and rolling. Josh Hart to the bucket with a 2, so that is going to make it a 1-point game. Russell Wilson in attendance, a big Knicks fan. Also a big Nuggets fan. Also a big – does Pittsburgh have a – no, Pittsburgh doesn't.
You missed one more team. One more team he's a big fan of. The one upstairs.
Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, for sure. But he was like front row at every Nuggets game. Now he's front row at the Knicks. Now, let's just be fair. Because he is super cheesy. But supporting the local team, we can't really give him a hard time for.
No, look, that's what you want, right? To be part of the community. It's just I didn't want him in my community. That's the problem. Like, it's not what he does once he's there. It's just I didn't want him to be there at all. Like, you got to admit, the Jackson Dart twist to that quarterback room, it makes it a little bit weirder. Made a weird thing already more weird.
Has the Giants fan base talked themselves into mediocrity with Jackson Dart yet?
Patrick, maybe we should have a discussion about this because I've already started to convince myself, like, you know what? They drafted based on need. And they got a lot of holes filled through the draft. And look, while Dart underwhelmed at Ole Miss, there's some athleticism there, and there's some tools, and Dayball's a quarterback whisperer. But more importantly, when it comes to the Giants, they do seem to have a plan. I've already started to convince myself of that, which is a dangerous position to be in as a fan.
We can come back and discuss. We'll get you updated as we're about to drop puck in Vegas. Crunch time with Pistons Knicks. Orlando off to a great start. We still have a half hour until tip with the Clippers Nuggets. A ton to do. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Football.
We want some more! We want some more! We want some more!
Every single day.
Ice up, son! Ice up!
This is 3 Point Stance.
Go play intramurals, brother!
Hey, you know what? We'll get to the football, but quickly, Detroit's up 3, 77-74. We're going to the fourth quarter. That is going to be a ridiculous quarter. I'm excited to watch it. Check out all of our interviews, analysis, and exclusive video from the NFL Draft right now on the SiriusXM app. Just search NFL Draft. And speaking of which, let's go NFL. We haven't done it in a while. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not on social that much. I don't know, has the Shedeur stuff died down? I know people were bitter about the party he threw. It obviously shows his popularity. A lot of big people run through. But has the Shedeur stuff slowed down at all?
No, because you know how it works on social media. If you get the clicks, you get the attention, you just kind of rinse and repeat, play the hits, and that's what people are doing. So more and more keeps coming out about Shedeur, as in a couple reports from earlier today. The first one is, I mean, this feels pretty obvious, but at the same time, I'd be curious if the Browns would actually cut someone like Shedeur, who they drafted in the 5th round. Mary Kay Cabot, who covers the team for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, reports Sanders will have to, quote, outperform the other 3 quarterbacks on the roster to make the Browns. But it feels like you don't go get a quarterback like that to have him in there for camp just to cut him. Like, you have to imagine Shedeur would be on the roster, right?
Oh, yeah. No, the owner's going to keep him on the roster. So
either Flacco or Pickett won't be. Like, that's the vibe I get.
Well, I don't believe they picked up the extension on Pickett.
They didn't. But that
doesn't mean that. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they don't want Pickett as a spot starter for 1 year.
Yeah.
Or Flacco. It's a mess. They have no good options.
From a betting perspective, for whatever reason, the odds were originally to take the first snap at quarterback for the Browns this year. Flacco was like 12-1, and then it immediately shortened up. I want to see if I can pull it up here. But here it is. It was 12-1. It's now 2-1 for Flacco. Pickett's your favorite at plus 110. Flacco 2-1. Sanders 3-1. Gabriel 10-1. And then Deshaun Watson, who's just not going to be healthy for week 1. He's 20-1.
No, he's not. He's never going to play again for the Cleveland Browns. Never, 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 never. Ottawa got a empty netter. They're up 3-0.
By the way,
they were catching a huge price.
It's 4-4 in Carolina. Third period.
Yeah, start of the third.
All right. This just goes back to the original conversation from the beginning of the show.
It was 4-3 Devils, and then Carolina got a beautiful goal to close out the second. And now we're starting the third, tied up at 4s.
This is crazy. That series is crazy. There was no action first 2 games. Last 2 games, tons of goals. So who the hell knows who wins that one? Next one up here was Shedeur. Boomer Esiason went on WFAN today and said that after talking to 3 different personnel people in the NFL, they didn't even have them on their board. They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said, take him off. I don't want that guy. I don't want this entitled person on our team, and I don't blame them, end quote. Do you buy that the reason why no one was pulling the trigger on Shedeur was because most teams said we don't want him at all?
Of course. Yeah, of course. That's what I said. It's like I think it was Twizzy that called the other day. We were standing on the mountaintop when one of the better character humans that has come into the league in a long time and a great quarterback was being discussed as being used at another position. His name's Lamar Jackson. We're like, well, obviously there's some weird stuff going on here. I don't believe that to be the case with Shedeur. Like I said, he could just be super annoying.
It's just a lot because the NFL's always emphasized like team, and it doesn't do well with the individualistic stuff. And when you come in, you're picking up FaceTimes, you got audio blasting out of your headphones, and you've got someone filming you every step of the way in the facility. It's just like you're just signing up for a lot of extras that you don't need to because the player's not.
He might be a donk.
But if the player was like amazing, you can deal with a lot of that stuff. But if the player's mediocre, why are you going to put up with any of that?
Yeah, as I mentioned, if Andrew Luck was picking up FaceTime calls from his boys, the Indianapolis Colts were selecting him 1 overall.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
It's not a question. You deal with it. What else?
Okay, speaking of quarterbacks who have fallen in drafts, Peter Schrager, now of ESPN, reported Aaron Rodgers still has no timetable to sign for 2025. He said Rodgers told teams, including the Giants and the Steelers, they should feel free to move on in their quarterback search if Rodgers' timetable doesn't fit theirs. I don't think it's a high percentage chance, but I do have a weird feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to wait and see if someone gets hurt on a contender early in the year and latch on to them, something like that.
Is Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, Mason Rudolph. Are they literally just assuming that he's coming?
I'm glad you said that, because this is not a bet I thought I would want to place. But if Will Howard ends up being the starter for the Steelers, he's 35-1 for offensive rookie of the year. Like, he has DK Metcalf on one side. He's got George Pickens on the other, Freiermuth, and a run game. And then that defense, he just has to be smart with the football, which, oh, by the way, that's all Will Howard was in college, was a guy who protected the football, could make plays with his feet, was pretty accurate, doesn't have a huge arm, but has a good enough arm. I'm starting to think that might be a bet that's worth a flyer, because they drafted him for a reason, and doesn't like his attitude, his mindset, doesn't that kind of fit the Pittsburgh Steeler mold?
Well, there's a rumor coming that's been circulated that they drafted him for a reason. The reason was he begged them to pick him.
He did. Well, he told everyone.
Will Howard was like, Pittsburgh, please pick me. I want to play for you.
Yeah, well, he's also a guy who got overlooked by Penn State, I believe. He's a Pennsylvania kid. So he's had a chip on his shoulder. He wanted Penn State to regret never recruiting him. And he had the last laugh winning a national title with Ohio State. I like a lot of the tools of Will Howard. I'm curious if it works in the NFL. I don't know. It's obviously a big question mark, but like the intangible stuff that you're looking for, it's all there with Will Howard.
What else is going on? 3-point stance here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Our guy, Adam Shine, you know him both, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Shine on Sports, and Make It Rain on VSiN. Always gets the best guests in the business, and he had Falcons GM Terry Fontenot on the show today, and he asked him a question about Kirk Cousins' future, and here's what the GM of the Falcons said.
We're always patient with those types of things, because if something comes to us with Kirk or any other player that makes sense and it's going to help this team, then we're going to be aggressive and we're going to do it. And if it's not something that's going to ultimately help this team, we always have to ask that question. Is it the best for the Atlanta Falcons, for this organization?
So he didn't give an answer.
Well, no, he basically said, you're going to have to pony up. We're not coming off our demands. We want value back in a deal for Kirk Cousins. We're not just going to give him away for free. Absolutely, perfectly fine with keeping him on the roster.
I don't know about that. You know,
it's a bluff. It's a bluff.
Of course it's a bluff.
But they also
he's trying to drive up the value. There's no way he's going to keep him on the roster, paying him they're going to pay a backup. What's the number?
I don't know. He already got a roster bonus for being on past a certain date. So he already got a big chunk of it that they should have traded him by if they were going to trade him.
No, but I think his number is like almost $26 million.
I don't need the Rocket Money app with the Atlanta Falcons to tell me they've mismanaged the finances on this situation. It's a big number. It's probably like 30 grand or 30 million.
This year, he is going to make his cap hit is $40 million. The cash they owe him is $27.5. There's no chance they're keeping a backup quarterback for $27.5 million.
Okay, but it's the same question I asked during the draft with Shedeur Sanders. Who is the market and who are they bidding against? Because as far as I can tell, the only team that wants Kirk Cousins is the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially.
Yeah. Well,
Minnesota?
Like said,
Minnesota?
They might take that quote you just gave me from Schrager. Hey, almost like he's taunting teams, Rodgers. Go ahead and move on if you don't like my timeline. They might just say, you know what? We just got a kid that won a national championship that wants to be here. Let's just try this.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, I know a lot of the narrative around Tomlin is, it may be getting stale in Pittsburgh, but at the same time, they did just make the postseason in a year they weren't expected to. He deserves a chance to see if he has something at quarterback with something different other than what they've been throwing out there.
Yep. What else is going on?
Okay, big story in New Orleans has been the arm of Derek Carr. Nick Underhill covers the team for New Orleans.football, and he said, quote, I would have trouble understanding why you would allow Derek Carr to play for the Saints this year. You're trying to build a new culture. You can't let that guy. You just got a rookie quarterback in Tyler Shuck he's referencing, saying that he believes that Tyler Shuck is an 80% or higher odds to start 80% of the games this year for New Orleans. Shuck, when it comes to the Offensive Rookie of the Year market, he is 16-1 to win that award. But you have to imagine if he plays 15, 16 games as a quarterback, has a chance to put up numbers, potentially win that award.
Yeah, when they drafted a 25, 26-year-old player in the second round, they told you he's starting.
100%.
Yeah. It would make the Derek Carr, like, you're going to hear that he's got issues with his arm. They don't want to play him. It makes no sense to play Derek Carr if you're a Saint.
Well, especially when you think about, let's use the Giants for an example. The Giants in the last couple seasons have won meaningless games down the stretch that have taken them away from having the number 1 overall pick. If you're the Saints, you're in cap hell. You have nothing to play for this year, possibly even next year. Derek Carr prevents you from getting a better pick by winning a game or two that you shouldn't win down the stretch. Absolutely, you hold Derek Carr out. In fact, I'd release him if I was the Saints.
Yeah, it's not crazy. By the way, the Knicks and Pistons are tied at 81 because Cade's on the bench.
Oh, no.
And the Pistons just got a big rebound. So we'll keep you updated there. But the Pistons did have a 10-point lead. Tobias just took a horrific three-pointer, which is so stupid. What is this shot selection from the Pistons right now? Gross.
I don't know, but they took an assist away from Brunson. So now I need 2 more assists to cover the 7.5. Don't love that.
Got 9 minutes to go.
I know. But he calls his own number in the fourth. He calls his own number. Okay. The next story here. Oh, by the way, I got Tyler Shuck during the draft 60-1. He's now 16-1. That's a flex on a bet that's not going to cash.
There you go. That's good.
Ben Johnson. He chose Colston Loveland at tight end over Tyler Warren. Johnson was asked about that, and this is what he said about Loveland. That he reminded him of Sam Laporta. Quote, obviously, we did a lot of things with Laporta. I can see you doing a lot of those things as well with Colston Loveland. And that was a big reason why I placed a bet on Loveland to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, 28-1. Laporta and Ben Johnson set the rookie record for tight end receiving yards when they were together in 2023. He's going to use Colston Loveland in the pass game. Cole Kmet will be the blocking tight end. Loveland has a chance to put up monster numbers up there in Chicago this year.
Chicago. All right. You got any other stories NFL wise? Sorry, I'm just keeping track here. The Celtics are up 2:36 to play, 43-41. The Pistons and Knicks right now, it's starting to get chippy. Like I said, the Knicks need to take advantage of the Pistons right now with Cade on the bench.
Yes.
The Pistons are rudderless without Cade Cunningham on the floor. So that is that. Elsewhere, Ottawa went on. They're going to beat the Maple Leafs 4-0.
Wow.
When Toronto was almost laying $2 and up 3-1 in the series, returning to Toronto. Very surprising. You still have a 4-4 tie with the Devils and Hurricanes. The Hurricanes were down 3-0 in this game, scored 3 unanswered. Then the Devils scored. Then Carolina scored. That's where we're at, 4-4. Ottawa, that is a finish. We have yet to drop the puck with the Wild and Golden Knights, but any second. And then I think the game of the night, the Oilers here in Los Angeles at the Kings. Series tied at 2s. Los Angeles laying anywhere between $1.10 and $1.20.
Wow. So Pistons Knicks 82 all, 8.5 to go. This is right where the Knicks want them, unfortunately for your Pistons. Like, this is what they do. Now, I just need them to cover 5.5, the Pistons, but this is what has happened every step of the way in this series. New York claws back. They tie things up. Fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson and Cat take over. And I'm noticing Cat has a few more points this quarter since it started. So the same recipe's happening right in front of us.
All right, we'll come back. Close tabs. Mike, don't go anywhere. I actually want this party update. I told you. I have to be social. Hennessy's is literally, I could throw a rock and hit it from my crib. If people are coming out, I'm coming out, baby. It is VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
time to wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
Ooh, Minnesota almost got a goal to start it off in Vegas. Remember, playoffs are going nuts. Kentucky Derby around the corner. You can get access. This is a special deal for Mad Dog Sports Radio and Sirius listeners. VSiN.com/subscribe. Everything we offer for $19 through August 1st. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code Sirius. We'll close tabs before we get out of here. Let's go to our buddy Mike in the OC. Hey, what's the update? What's the update on this bash coming up on May 31st?
The update, we got to figure out the time.
Oh.
But so what's a good time for you?
Well, wait, it's not overly coordinated, if we're being honest.
Hey, it'll get worked out. Twizzy's interested. Maybe we got Chaff in California, Dr. Falk. Who else is out here?
Wait, this thing isn't legit? You literally just called to say that it was legit, but you got nothing on it?
No, it's legit. It's going to happen. Whoever wants to go. Look, it's not going to be like, the Babs and Evan California thing, but we'll get over there and whoever wants to go.
Mike, you got to take control. You got to take control of the situation. I already have plans. I'm in San Diego.
Wait. Patrick, did you hear what he said? He's going to be in San Diego with his girlfriend exploring San Diego. I can't do that another weekend?
My mouth, listen, I'm a friend. I keep my mouth shut, all right? I let him do what he's got to do.
I'm already in enough trouble, Mike. I'm already in enough trouble.
What's wrong now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mike, is there a possibility that Hennessy's on May 31st? It's going to be you and me?
No. Would that be incredible? It's been 6 years. I can try to bring the beautiful hotel. Could you imagine we're sitting there? You remember the time, Patrick? Oh my God, that would be a scare. What a photo that would be.
I gotta let you go just because we got whatever. I'd actually enjoy it. I'll say that. I like it.
Okay, hold on. First of all, that would be the perfect Mike ploy to finally have a corned beef or pastrami sandwich with you, which he's been begging to do for like 10 years now. But secondly, I do enjoy this version of Patrick who's willing to be social.
Yeah. Well, it's so close, but at the same time, he also, it's at my extended age, I need to start embracing being social. It is not normal to not ever see people. So if Mike happens to be one of those people, let's rock.
But is it like for people like me going to the gym? It's not actually going to the gym and working out. It's the hyping yourself up to get up and go and actually get in the car, pull into the gym and like walk in there. Is that more of the issue of like the lead in, or is it just the actual dealing with people person to person? Because to me, I feel like you're great at dealing with people.
It's probably the former. It's like the actual getting, like moving and getting up and going and actually getting motivated. Once you're there, you're there. Have a couple of drinks. It's all good. But we shall see. It doesn't sound like it's happening. If we're being honest, that wasn't an overly confident call from Mike in the OC.
No, especially when it was pitched to us like, hey, are you coming to this big shindig? And there's been no details worked out by anyone involved.
None at all. Let's close tabs before we get the hell out of here. What do you got?
Okay, let's see. You opened the show saying we have 2 crackers tonight. Fun fact, that was actually almost the name of the show.
That's not bad. Stupid,
okay. I've been saving this one since Friday. Thought this was interesting. Adam Schefter tweeted it out. It's just information. I don't know why I gave him attribution on it. It doesn't matter. The Panthers-Bears trade from a couple years ago. It's now been finalized. The Bryce Young trade. Panthers received Bryce Young. These are the players that the Bears ended up receiving. DJ Moore, a first-rounder that became offensive tackle Darnell Wright, a second-rounder that became cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, a first-rounder that became quarterback Caleb Williams, and a second-rounder that became Luther Burden. Has the potential to go down as one of the all-time bad trades in NFL history.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce did play better second half of the year, but it's still disaster. You wouldn't do it again if you're Carolina, let's be honest.
No, that's a lot. By the way, on this day in 1770, British explorer James Cook made his first landing in Australia at Botany Bay. I wonder if that James Cook is related to Buffalo Bills running back James Cook.
No, he's not. No, I could assure you of that. But I did just listen to a book about James Cook the Explorer.
Really?
Yeah, I could give you the title if you'd like.
Do it. Also, I want to bring the show full circle. You mentioned that you've watched every Lincoln documentary. Well, born on this day in 1957, not Abe Lincoln, but you have to call him Abe Lincoln, Daniel Day-Lewis, born on April 29th, 1957, the Abe Lincoln.
His performance in Lincoln was, I believe it's called the Wide, Wide Sea. Yeah, Hampton Sides. His performance in Lincoln, Daniel Day-Lewis, insane. Naya, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Big guy, good job by you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.